Hey everyone, and welcome to F4 Obsessed, a deep dive, a weekly show where we discuss F4 Thailand from a symbolic and meta perspective. I'm Ty, your host, and my co-host is Marie Claire, who I call MC. Say
Hello.
hi.
Hello, or
Hello.
Sawadi.
Sawadee. Yes.
Yes, I'm learning things because it makes it easier actually when you're watching these dramas, just not always to read the subtitles and get used to some of the language.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
hello. That's hello in Thai, I
Yes.
guess. Okay. Sawadee. Cool. We are Hana Yori Dango fans, if you didn't already know, and we truly adore this story. A few things to get into before we get into the episode. We know this was like a heartbreaking episode, and we're gonna really get into it. But before that, we just wanted to mention that earlier this week, we made a symbolism video that is like a symbolism summary of everything that we have seen in the show from episode 1 to episode 8. And it covers basically, I don't want to say everything we've mentioned in this deep dive show, but it
Oh
covers
no.
a lot. Yeah, there's no way, because you can't
Yeah.
condense hours and hours of discussion into like 15 minutes. But it's a 15-minute video. It's easy to share. The reason why we did it was just to like kind of catch people up that maybe couldn't go back and watch all of our episodes, or have kind of come into this with us, only at the halfway point, or if you just want to like have like a refresher. It's a great video. I put a lot of heart into it, and I think you'll enjoy it. So, and I will link it below, and I will also put it in, it should be popping up on the screen somewhere at some point.
You absolutely put so much effort into it. And what was really important for this video, I believe, is just to show the repetitive symbolism specifically that we are seeing consistently over the course of the first 8 episodes. And that's just to show the patterns that we're seeing. And when those patterns change, it helps us if we don't necessarily have to rehash every single piece of symbolism. We can just call it out. So if you're like, hey, they're mentioning something, which we will in this episode, because there is stuff from a mythological and symbolic perspective that you really, really do want to get caught up on. If this is your first time watching the video, we highly recommend watching all of the videos. But if you don't have time, this is a really quick way to get up to speed. Also, just a reminder, make sure to like, subscribe, share, interact with the video, and make sure to click that notification bell, because we do have some plans to do some bonus content outside of the episode timeline.
Absolutely. All right. So last episode, there was a lot of really good discussion. There's always good discussion. What am I saying? So here are some comments that we pulled out for this week. I'll start with Brianna F. said that I love the mention about how the only thing Tom can offer to Gorya other than money is basically himself, him being there for her. And after the scene where Tom draws that picture of Gorya with the squeeze butter, side note, that's like, I think it's condensed milk in a squeeze bottle. I think it's something sweet, on the toast. They both walk out of her house together to go to school. But when she's putting on her shoes, Gorya is actually leaning on Tom's back to balance herself. Like, she didn't hesitate in the moment to use him as support. It's such a simple thing, but I don't know, I just found it so sweet.
Yeah. This is the crux of like what she needs to realize, like she needs to do is actually like lean on him, trust him, and also like trust herself. There's a lot of like, she just doesn't trust herself or believe in herself. And they're really explicitly telling us that this episode, which is great as a follow-up to show like where the divide still is.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. From Nina Vang. Fun fact, the TV show F4 watches while eating noodles is a spoof off of a very famous TV show from the 1950s that has been remade numerous times in Thailand, Ban Se Thong. It's about a brave young girl who is the heir to a mansion who returns to take her place back while encountering the rude rich family living in the mountain mansion. She befriends the servants of the mansion and wins everybody's love. It's like Downton Abbey of Thailand. It can relate to the F4 story because the female lead is very strong, similar to Gorya, while the male lead is proud but more mature than Tom. Oh my God. I want
Yeah.
to watch this show. Okay, so if you guys know of a more recent, like the most recent version or the best version, like let us know. I want to watch it.
Yeah, I agree. I would love to watch that. That sounds like it's so up my alley. And also, it was really interesting that this drama came back in this episode because this episode had a lot to do with like the economic divide between the characters. So the fact that
class difference,
the class divide, yeah, and the fact that like that's what the show is about, which I did not know that at all. I thought it was probably just another kind of romance drama, but like more of a Cinderella story. But that's totally different than what I expected. So that's really cool. Zoha Batul said, and I posted this on Twitter when as soon as she put this comment there and I saw it, I freaked out because if you didn't listen to our last episode, I got really excited about the potential pairing of Ren and Lita because I do that and because it makes sense. And so like Zoha Batul said, she said about your Lita point, Ren is an Aries and the incarnation of Mars. The mate for Mars is always Venus, and they're both associated with the night, which is when this party is happening. Lita's dress has love written all over it, and she's the goddess character, so she's Venus in her divine dress, separating Eros, who's Tom, and Psyche, who's Gorya. Your theory of her being Ren's match holds weight. He even draws her as a meteor, so he's able to see her coming when no one else does. It binds the two together. Ta-da!
Yeah. And even Pavani, before we were recording this episode, who's commented on many of our videos and she does amazing TikToks, was like, oh my God, look at her outfits.
Yes.
Look at Lita's outfits. And yeah, there's I'm not gonna
stuff
like
there.
if it happens, it is amazing setup because the breadcrumbs are all there. Same with Hana and of course MJ.
I was gonna say,
and you're like, you just want everybody to be happy. You ship everybody in happiness. That's what you ship.
Exactly. I think I feel like there's definitely more of a chance for Ren and Lita to be a thing than there is now for MJ and Hana. I was really excited and invested in that, but now I'm thinking like, if at least one of them happened, I'm gonna be like super happy. So.
Hana's coming back.
I think so. I don't know. Everything's working against me, but I think it's a cool ship. Anyways.
The next comment is from Phelan Gibbs. The little flower that Gawain will teach Hanning to make a garland is Caltropis gigantea, or the Thai name of this flower is Dokrak, and it means the flower of love. So Gawain is teaching Hanning about love, right? Or we should say love. Yeah. No. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, the show just does stuff, which I haven't quite figured out how much is just, we're just vibing and creating an amazing show full of symbolism and how much is purposeful. There's a moment that happens this episode that I'm blown away with, but all of the flower symbolism has been on point. So this is purposeful, I suspect.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's hard to think that a lot of stuff isn't purposeful at this point, just because everything is so consistent.
So it has to be, and they could also just be vibing with what they're already going with and also getting really, really lucky with some of them.
Yeah.
But it feels like they're really being thoughtful, which is also amazing.
Yeah, exactly. It's really cool. And then we got PJ JK said, I have a question and would love to hear your thoughts on it, or the hive mind. Why doesn't Gorya subject the other fellas in the F4 Ren, Gawin, MJ to the same level of scrutiny she does with Tom. Although Tom appears to be more proactive in the dishing out of red cards and the armchair king of the bully culture, aren't the others equally responsible?
It's a really, really great question.
Yeah.
And
I'm the only one that responded to it, and I was hoping there was going to
I
be a little
missed
bit
this.
more. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was no more discussion. I think I don't remember exactly what I said, to be honest, because there's a lot of reasons to me. Like, what are your thoughts though?
It all comes down to Tom being the king, and no matter what, his knights, which are the rest of the F3, are going to do what he wants. So in the end, he is ultimately responsible for the behavior of the entire kingdom, including them. And so even though they are broken in their own unique ways, like Ren being just like not concerned with the problems of others, by just being around Gorya, he starts to care about others. Gawin being kind of a lecherous, like seducer guy who kind of just wants to dominate and not have any attachments. That is Hanning's thing to deal with, right? And MJ is better when the group is better because he reflects and heals, and is better when he doesn't have to kind of hold them together because they're all broken.
Yeah. There's almost like each one of them has each one of them has something that is going to reach out to them differently. And Gorya is, it's very simple, but I mean, she is destined to be the queen. And this is from a fairy tale perspective only, but because of that, she has to challenge the king, and she understands his power, and she understands the power over the others. So she doesn't even have to deal with that, because if she fixes the king, or if she helps him fix himself, then like everything else will fall into place. So
exactly. Yeah. And I know that seems like a very simplistic answer, but it's really not. This is a fairy tale archetype,
right,
that is happening. And so, like, again, we got to think Beauty and the Beast. What happens to the kingdom or to the castle when Belle, finally can love the beast in return? Well, it heals the entire castle kind of magically. We're not there, obviously, but people are starting to heal, like in Beauty and the Beast, especially the stage production. They actually have them start to return to human form partway through the show. Right. So
I saw that one. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing, is like happily ever afters, weddings for everyone. Like this is just a part of the fairy tale. All right.
This is why we know Hana. Well, we know Hannah's coming back, but this is why you ship Ren with
yes, because
with
Hana.
Lita?
Yeah. Well. Ren and Lita and Hana and MJ. Yeah, because like everyone getting married at the end, or at least the idea of partnering with each other, partnerships, helping each other be better. It just makes
having a match out there in the world that is right for them.
Right. Exactly. It's exciting. All right. So we have a lore this week. Yay. So our lore is the cookies. I thought this was going to be a really funny, simple one where we just like laugh at the different types, but we actually have a lot of mythical stuff to dig into.
I can't believe you didn't put the GIF, your favorite GIF from Media Garden.
You know what's funny? I put it in there and then I was like, that's just going to distract me the entire time. So I took it back out. She's talking about the GIF where he has the cookie that has the little the squiggly mouth, and he does the squiggle mouth, and he like moves his jaw, and he like does the motion like the cookie does, and it's the cutest gift from the entire show, like by far, and it's the cutest thing that Dylan Wang has ever done, and I love it. But I took it out because it was going to distract me.
Yep.
I'm glad I got to talk about it anyway.
Well, I have to say, like, I love this cookie stuff that
Yeah.
they didn't spend enough time on it for me. And this is the one part where I'm like, Meteor Garden did it better. What can I say?
Yeah, I agree. Well, and it needed that linger. It needed to go a little bit more.
Considering how much pain they put us through this episode, we deserved more cookie time.
I agree. And another thing, you actually had this note, which I thought was brilliant, was we didn't talk about this last week, but when she was learning how to cook the cookies,
yes,
they were doing them in teddy bears.
Yep.
And that's like another thing that keeps coming up over and over again in the show.
Yep. The toy, the representation of the beast, right? She is learning how to make him. And he like the recipe is to make a beast like cookie. And then she makes Tom cookies.
Yes.
And also the return of the teddy bear, which is, the eternal self important thing.
Yeah, to treat people like people and not like dolls, not like teddy bears. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in that. So I had a note about the cookies that I was really excited about, which is that the cookie recipe is always like very simple. Like it's a very simple sugar cookie. It's just like flour and sugar and eggs, and like that's it. And the female lead always, there's I think in the manga it's like she cooks them in a fish oven, and it's the same thing for like a lot of the versions.
They smell like fish. They don't taste good.
Yeah. And in like Meteor Garden, even though she's a cook in the 2018 version, she still burns them,
and some of them are like really burned.
Yeah. So they're like really dark. So there's a lot of fun stuff with that. But to me, like it kind of spoke to the whole idea of giving someone bread, like giving someone something very simple, because the cookies are very simple. But it goes back to the idea that Gorya is an earth goddess, and she's very similar to, I think, like Demeter, who is like the goddess of agriculture. She's the goddess of plentiful harvest, the goddess of grain. Her name literally means earth mother. And we've talked about this about her being Virgo. So this is just kind of another facet of it, a different goddess that she has within her. And the way that people have like worshipped Demeter in the past, or of any version of her, right? Because this happens like all over the globe for many hundreds of years, whatever, where people harvest, they take the harvest, and then they process the grain, and then all of the women in that community will take the processed grain to make bread, and they do this all together as like a sort of ritual. And they make a lot of bread at one time for like the community or for their families or something like that. So the way that they do this, from like the perspective of like Roman gods and goddesses, that's their way of worshiping Demeter. And they saw the bread as the flesh of Demeter. So it's like the flesh of the goddess. So you can kind of look at like, Gorya, if she's our goddess, then she's making these for Tom. And it's kind of like a Eucharist type of thing, because that's also the same type of myth.
It is,
yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same type of ritual. So it sounds kind of weird, but I love that kind of stuff. I love the idea of like taking someone else inside of you, right? In a very like ritualistic type of fashion. So I don't know. It's kind of cool.
In this, like feeding another person is an edible I love you, right? Because you're literally giving them the fundamental things to survive. And I was just thinking about how transformational creation, and we see this in the F4 fandom when we see amazing fan art, or you doing your video edits, or me doing my memes, which are dumb,
but they're awesome.
But transformational creation equates love, It's capturing the essence of something and then showing it in another form. And so although Tom's version of the toast with the condensed milk spread was like a little rough, like she is showing that this was his like edible I love you, and she's giving him an edible I love you back.
Yeah.
It's also about, feeding them feeding people to help them grow, just exactly like what you said with the meter. But it's like our gardener is producing something specifically for him.
Yeah.
And that's really, really important. And then there's the whole idea of playing house at the time that they were playing house. Feeding your significant other is very, very familial. And there's a reason, at least in North America, they call sort of all of the things that he has done brownie points.
Yeah.
Right. It's because you get brownies or cookies if you do enough things to help out your spouse.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's got like that marriage connotation too, which is nice.
Yeah. I do wonder if, because as I was doing all this like research about like eating and like what gods eat and like what the significance is of eating in myth, which I've done before. I have a video on it, but for this purpose, I was coming across a lot of the talk about like ambrosia and the nectar of the gods and all of that, and I can't help but think that it would be really, really cool if they kind of had some sort of symbol for when Gorya does accept her role at Tom's side, and she has maybe drinks a glass of wine or something like that, and it could be a sort of initiation into becoming becoming actually like the star bride or the goddess or fully realized type of thing.
Yeah, and in the Psyche and Eros myth,
right,
Psyche consumes like
ambrosia
to become a god fully.
Right. I think that would be cool
to her. Yeah.
I mean, I think the necklace can be a version of that, but I don't know. We'll have to see. I would like to
depends
see
on if
like
the
that.
Necklace comes back. Sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. Right.
In some of the versions, sometimes it does.
Right. Totally. All right. Anything else about the cookies?
I love that this is one of the this is one of the most consistent plot points.
Yeah.
It's one of them. Like there's a few, like the red cards, obviously, and like certain key moments within the story, the kidnapping plot, etc. But this is one, it's such a simple little thing.
Yeah.
But it shows exactly where they're at in the story at any given point.
Yeah, definitely.
He is willing to give of herself to him. And think about him in a very specific way, which is, I recognize the true face of you. It's almost like knowing your true name. I recognize that you are actually a human under your beast-like form, which is the tie to the cookie being a teddy bear before, or being a bear before.
Yeah, definitely.
I recognize you as the human under your animal skin and this beast-like form that you have held to the rest of the world.
Yeah, that's awesome. Very cool. Yeah, so cookies aren't just cookies. Man, this show.
Well, it's also like the source material, which is also cool.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Oh yeah. So which Tom this time?
Our mature lover may be less mature today.
I know, right?
We'll find out.
Yeah, so we have the 4 quadrants of which Tom is this Tom, and we have angry child, sweet, and we crossed out smitten. It now says mature lover, and I think this was pretty good. I think it'll be interesting. So for this episode, for the last episode, he ended up in the kind of like mature lover and sweet area. And this episode, he went up to the angry and mature lover area, which I find fascinating. And we've seen this kind of before, but he was more smitten angry. And we talked about that kind of being him maturing in his love. but now he's just like, he's very angry at the end of this, and he's betrayed, he's hurt, like, there's so much stuff we're going to talk about with that, but yeah, so not a good place to be for him. So sad.
Nope.
We need to get back to that like lower, well, actually no, I need to go to the left and the bottom. That's where we need to get. All right, so let's start the episode. We start this from Lita's perspective.
I know.
I started crying. I started crying immediately. Like immediately. Emotions.
So much to say. Like the show just does so much with the time it's given.
Yeah.
You know,
it really
like,
does.
It was smart to kind of show the social media aloneness of Lita.
Yeah.
Like how much she is sort of like a trapped princess. They establish very, very quickly that she is a celestial, just like them, just like the others. She's alone in the universe. What a name. That's just like a star, right? It's definitely one of the themes of the show, and that's paired quite well with not to devalue others' problems.
Mm-hmm.
She has no friends, so she's alone, and we instantly pity her.
Yes, it's the music too that they play is just it helps you to like love her. The thing I thought was really interesting is like it is very much Star Bride in the fact that, like, you know, she's like a star in the sky, like water. Her icon's like a little girl floating in water. Water is very similar to the sky. Like they kind of like are interchangeable in terms of symbols depending on the tale. And for Lita, she is a little girl floating in the sky. And when she says, I'm going to make a run for it, that's when she decides to fall to the earth.
Yeah. The meteor that Ren predicted would hit the bridge.
Yes. I love that. I love that visual of like seeing, and they did that for us. Like they literally produced it for us. Like her talking about it. All I see in my head is like a star in the sky in the shape of a little girl saying, I'm going to make a run for it. And she like decides to like fall to earth. Like, it's so cool. It's so cool. And her little icon, or her not icon, like her username is the emoji of the earth.
Yeah.
So it's like she wants to go. Like she wants to go there. It's her desire.
Yeah. It feels so much like how the star fell in Stardust.
Yes, it very much like the visual of that. Oh my God.
Which, I mean, this is what we're talking about with this like consistent symbolism of these celestials, right? Which, I mean, they're amping up even more, and this did not exist in the original Hana Yori Dango text. That's what's really interesting. This has been iterated on with the ad of Meteor Garden, and they're going with it.
Yeah.
So this is like a true, you know, it's like alchemy, but between all of the versions, getting the pureness out of the metaphors and the symbolism.
Yes.
I do want to just briefly talk about her actual name, not Lita, but Lalita. There is a goddess in the Hindu mythology and religion and sacred stories, and Lalita is sort of like the universal goddess, divine goddess figure who is married to Shiva. And her nickname is She Who Plays, and the idea is that she sort of just dances through our lives, bestowing love, bliss, and inspiring us. She's also sort of responsible for attraction and, being in some way, she's got some of the similar traits to Aphrodite. And so like us calling out that she's very similar to Aphrodite is right on point, because she does also have a place in attraction and sex and
cool.
And of course, like her relationship with Shiva is divinely important for the success of the universe. And to me, she's sort of like the ultimate wild woman archetype.
Yeah.
Because she does what she wants. She does however she wants. And she is inexhaustible.
Yes, the energy.
Because
Right.
she is constantly about joy and playing
You
and things
could,
like that.
yeah, you could very easily map Lita's journey along the journey of the wild woman, which is very similar to the heroine's journey, but there's a lot more going on that's has to do with I would say kind of there's more things happening outwardly. There's more expression. There's more expression of like freedom and that wildness that happens. And there's also more camaraderie between women in the journey of the wild woman compared to the heroine's
journey, which is important for Ty and I because we don't see a lot of representation in our media of that.
Absolutely.
So Lita's speaking the whole time, right? This is her monologue.
Right.
When is this? I have a question. When is this?
I see that it really threw me off. Like
I know
a lot.
when it is.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be next episode.
When she goes to Gorya's place.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Ooh, it's going to be
because she's talking about how important her friendship is when she lands on her and like all of that. This is set in the future because it's kind of like a retrospective of what has happened, I think.
Yeah, which is great because I think that might mean we'll get more of that internal monologuing going on, which this is like, I know we had some of it in the very beginning of the show, but
it was more external to Hana, right? Like it was explaining the situations. It wasn't voiceover.
Right. We got voiceover in like that tiny little intro at the very first episode.
Yeah.
But that was Tom. So we haven't really gotten any Gorya until now, which was shocking. And the fact that we got Lita in the same episode, I hope we get more of it. It's really good. It's really helpful. So yeah, then man. Okay. So
they get tangled in each other.
Yes.
And she rips
her dress
over Gorya's heart.
Yeah.
Like not only is she a mess and she's having to hold herself together, but she rips Gorya's heart out.
Yeah. Like it's very explicit.
She is in charge of love.
Yeah. Another thing is the bracelets that she has on her that snag that thread. Instantly, you think about, we talk about chains being, and they're kind of like manacles, like they're, and because she is going to be put into a marriage that is not her choosing necessarily. So this is kind of, she's like chained to her parents and her duties and all of that. So, and that's the thing that rips Gorya's heart out.
Yeah.
All very explicit.
It's very explicit, simplistic.
Yeah.
Which I love this show. I love this show. I say it so much and I say like it's amazing, but you don't get this in normal shows.
No, this is not normal at all. And she immediately is, oh no, it's ruined. Like, she wants to immediately take care of that for her. So instantly that she's just a good, kind-hearted person.
They've done a lot of very quick legwork to make sure we don't hate Lita.
Absolutely. Which you can't say about the other versions, because the other versions, they kind of kept her mysterious, I would say, in the beginning. Like you didn't know how to feel about her, and that was supposed to go along with what the female lead didn't really know how she felt about her. But this one, they're just like, no, like this is a good character, this is good for Gorya, it's good for Tom, like she's here for a reason. I love that. So
this is an important trial they need to go through, and like a meteor hitting their bridge. Like they need to figure out how to get through this.
Exactly. So then we get this really, really excellent thing. Oh, before that happens though, so there is a part where Rosalind decides to detain Tom basically in front of everyone. Like it's in front of the cameras, like because he goes to confront her about the engagement. He's like, you're gonna do the same thing you did
Tia.
To Tia, and she like has her goons like kind of wrestle with him for a minute, which was interesting because it's like, again, it's a power play. It's like you think you're the king already, but you're not. Like you're still the prince, and I can tell you what to do. And then the two threshold guardians, Gawain and MJ, go to the present table and get one of Tom's cars, like that's a present.
That were a present. Yeah, it was a present. Yeah.
To get him away out of there, which I love this because it's really hot when MJ tosses the key.
Yeah.
Like, it's just great. It's like, it's just such a good moment. And then we all know, if you watch previous versions, that Tom goes and he runs to the girls to grab Gorya, but because of the camera flashes, he can't see.
He's blinded by the star bride.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Yeah,
he was blinded by their light.
It's so explicit. Like he reacts like I thought like a bomb or an explosion went off in the trailer. I was like, why is he reacting that way? No, it's because stars are really bright and he can't actually see his hidden bride.
Yes, exactly.
What's also really interesting is that the car actually has flowers on it, like a dressed up car from a wedding.
Yeah, like they're taking off
like they're eloping.
Wedding. Yeah.
Like they're eloping or running away. Like
that is so funny. I love it. So after they get in the car, they drive off. They did a cute little comedic cut too, which I really appreciated. And then after that, MJ and Gawain look on and they're like, what the heck just happened? That was totally wrong.
And Ren and Gorya are also like, what?
Yeah, like what the heck? Which is so cute. And then we get the greatest scene. I love this so much. Like, I'm so happy this happened.
This is apparently this is like important because the monkey jump, which is literally the move that she does to him. This is called a monkey jump, when a person jumps both legs onto another person like that and like wraps their legs around them. It is actually called a monkey jump. And then like struggles with him and like after saying like, don't treat me like dirt. Right? So direct symbolic tie to Gorya.
Right? Yeah.
Don't treat me like Gorya. I'm a celestial like you. I'm a beast like you.
Yeah.
Jump, bite, and he's tamed. All right, let's talk about it.
He, like, okay, first of all, this is the longest ear bite from any version. This is so long. That he like falls to the ground.
He's so tamed because like like he's turned on.
Yes.
I didn't think that they would do this with this particular lead, right? So in other versions you were like, oh, he sometimes is like, he feels attraction to her. Like that's really important. And I'm like, I don't know if they're going to do it with this version because he's so loyal to Gorya.
Right. But they totally did.
But they totally did. Like his body reacts. This is important because his body reacts even though it's like against his mind and heart.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Yeah, and she calls him out on it. That's your sensitive spot. Like,
that turned you on.
Yeah, it turned you on. He's like, no, but he's absolutely shocked because he does. Again, we've talked about how innocent Tom is. Like, most of these monsters in these types of stories are like, they come off as someone who's experienced, but they're not. They're just children. Yeah. And the fact that
they have to grow up. Yeah.
Yes. And this is a part of that growing up. Like, and it's really funny because you know that this is also a part of Tom's journey where he starts to wonder, okay, what's it going to be like with Gorya when these other things happen? You know, like, I just love it so much. It's so delicious.
Does this give you more hope that we might actually get some action from Gorya and Tom in the future? Because it like the them giving them so much time, and their physical chemistry together, Gorya and Tom together, is so good. Like, so Brighton too, it's so good. Like they made this a big moment because it's kind of the first like
sexual thing,
accidental sexual thing that Tom has experienced.
100%. I mean, aside from like the accidental kisses, this is the only other thing. So I mean,
oh my god, this face.
It's so sexual. I am so excited about what they're gonna do with him and Gorya.
Please give us stuff. We've been so patient. Not that you're not feeding us with all of the symbolism and amazing work that you're doing, but like, like
we need more to be around the corner soon. Very soon.
So we're both frustrated.
Clearly. So then we get the social media stuff where they explain that Lita is from a real estate family, and Tom being Lita's in the construction family, and Tom being from the real estate. This is really important. And also we have Rosalind denying that this is an arranged marriage. She's like, oh no, we live in the modern day. These two will get married when they want to. Like, this is all their choice.
Yeah, sure.
This is all up to them.
Just like a tiny amount of business talk. So construction and real estate is literal, like, I can create a kingdom of my own, right? Because you can own the land and then you can build things on the land. And originally, marriage was just, a contract over property arrangements.
Right.
Right.
That's funny. I didn't think about that.
It is agreed that these two would be stronger rulers together if they decided, like, both of the companies and what they represent.
Yeah.
Which is really key.
Yeah, definitely. I also caught something kind of interesting that they said like something about how there's ads over, you can see their ads near where the Sky Train is, which the Sky Train in Thailand is like some kind of public transportation that they have. Don't know much about that other than that it comes up in interviews, that's all I know. But just the kind of the words being used here in this way just makes me think about, again, the idea of like celestials,
our celestial kingdom that they are all part of. It's like, oh, like if you're on Mount Olympus, then you know that they control the transportation on Mount Olympus. But again, this goes into that whole idea that's going to come up about the news is, for this one part of the population, it means something entirely different to them than it does to everyone else. And it's one of my favorite things about this episode. So yes. Quickly, Lita's parents sort of acknowledging that Lita is like is this wild child, and Rosalind is just like, yes, she's perfect for Tom. I had to find somebody who first and foremost made business sense, but then personality wise, like, I'm being kind by giving Tom somebody he might actually get along with. That's definitely, it's very interesting. And I don't agree with it, but she's smart. She is smart. She knows that he's less likely to reject Lita than anyone else. Yeah, she's being very conniving about it, which that's something that Gawain calls out later as well. So then we go back to the school after the whole thing went down, and there's the pictures online that the mean girls show to Gorya, and they're like, oh, they call her like his fake love. And then there's a little hint of jealousy there. Isn't it interesting that they've shrunk from 3 to 2? I had a note here that I it feels like they're fulfilling the role of the stepsisters in Cinderella. Like they're there to remind her of her place, and they're there to make her feel jealous and helpless, or to reflect those feelings that she's not expressing externally. They say the feelings for her. You looked pretty lost. You know, you're feel shaken. You're the fake one. You're not really the belle of the ball. Yeah.
It's
really interesting.
That's funny. Yeah. So then she goes up to the roof to yell, and she hears a voice who's like, "Who are you? What are you yelling about?" She thinks it's Ren. And she sees it's not. It's Talay or
Hale, yeah.
And something it's interesting is that every time he shows up, he has like this ambient wind sound in the background. Yeah, and it happens a lot. It happens at other moments in the show as well that don't have to do with him, but it does seem to be sort of this like foreboding noise. And it happens every single time he just shows up. Like there's this wind thing, except for the time that they're waiting in the line. So I don't know, it's just kind of weird. It's ominous, right? It's just ominous.
Yeah.
And also his name means the sea, so I think it might also have something to do with that. But yes. So then he kind of mentions accidentally, it'll give, like, being up here will give me a chance to find a little bit more out about F4, which, first of all, she didn't even question the fact that he knew that F4 hung out up there, or that Ren hung out up there. So that's like, you know, she's kind of like, okay, what's going on?
Like, it's like that meme, like, Hale, why are you so obsessed with me?
Yeah, exactly. Right? Why are you so upset?
And he grabs the business paper that is the point of this episode. There's a big important piece, and he's like, you know, oh, they read this, like, but he knows that.
Yeah. And the big thing I wanted to mention, because it's important for the rest of the episode, was that the newspaper thing. When I live in the DC area, and I went to school in the DC area for grad school, and one of the things that everybody will tell you is that in terms of where you get your news, all of the powerful people in DC read the newspaper. They read like Wall Street Journal or New York Times or whatever in paper format that they can grab when they get onto the metro for their commute, or even just to like sit down at their lunch break. They all read it. And there's a reason why all the billionaires in the world want to own newspapers. And there's a reason why when you go travel at an airport, there's always a newspaper rack, even today, where you have several different papers from all over the world in different languages, and like the major languages like Korean, Japanese, English, you know, Chinese or Mandarin. So like there's a reason, and it's called out in this episode. Like there's a difference between this group of people, this tiny group of the 1% or 0.01%, whatever you want to call them, and everyone else. So
why do they read the newspaper rather than getting their news online?
Because the newspaper it's targeted to them.
Yeah.
It's owned by billionaires for billionaires.
Yes.
And if you go online to get your news from the same resources, they're going to target different news to you because of ad revenue and eyeballs and all of that. So, but yeah, newspapers for billionaires by billionaires.
Nowadays, it didn't used to be as much that, but I mean, there's still, you know.
Yeah. There's some it depends kind of stuff in there, obviously, but this, for me, from my perspective, like that was the big secret that I was always told, and I just find it fascinating that it's in this show.
Yeah,
it's so interesting.
It's a subtle thing that shows the class differential that is being brought up in this show too.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we get Lita sneaking in, which is her ultimate wild woman You know, fence,
Hilarious.
what fence?
I love it. I love it. And I love, oh man, I just love that she jumps over and then she immediately pops up and she sees Gorya. It's like she sensed her and she was like, "Oh yes, I'm coming for you." You know, and like
Yes,
waved. It
exactly.
was so cute. It was so adorable.
And
So
Gorya was like, yes, I need to deal with this right away.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because she knew that she was coming to her. So she goes down looking for her as well,
Oh my God.
where
I'm
she runs
obsessed
into
with this
Tom.
scene
Yeah.
with Tom. Okay.
Yep. Go
Can
ahead.
I briefly talk about his outfit?
Oh yeah.
He's
Totally.
wearing brown with like these growing like flowers and almost like fern like leaves. And the
Mhm.
leaves are like coming up around his neck.
That's cool.
Underneath his black, but he's not wearing animal skin and he's wearing the lightest chain we've seen him in when he's wearing a chain.
Yeah. He's not wearing like the thick, really thick one.
He's like, Gorya, I'm in your outfit and I'm
Mm.
trying to have a conversation with you. But then he gets like, he goes about, he has a genuine complaint. I'm gonna talk about it, but he goes about it completely in the wrong way. But if
Yeah.
we were just to take what he says, which is like, you know, please don't avoid me. You didn't reach for me when I reached for you. You're not putting in as much effort
Yes.
as I'm putting into this.
Mhm.
And you know, I need you to like be
Yes.
where I'm at.
I wrote, we're supposed to be a team. You need
Yeah.
to read my mind.
Yeah.
Like it's such a couple's problem. Like
Yeah.
I've had this argument before. Like this is your fault. You're supposed to read my mind. You're supposed to know what I was doing in that moment.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be a team.
You're not talking to me.
Yeah.
And you don't get what I'm trying to do. Like, oh
Mhm.
my God, they're so married. Anyways, like that's, yeah, we've both had these fights with our significant others, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But then we hear the boiling kettle noise, like
Mhm.
that we heard with the two girls in the cafeteria. We
Mhm.
also heard a boiling noise then too. Like
Yeah.
she's boiling over, she's reaching her like melting point, and then we don't see the violence, but we see the outcomes of the violence.
Yes. Which again, like guys, this is not okay. Like you don't just go around kicking people in the nuts. Like that's not okay. But I do love that we're still getting it's kind of goofy, you know, it's just played for laughs. MJ shows up and he's like, "Aha, you were kicked in the balls. Like, what did you do to Gorya this time?"
Yep.
That was
they knew
so
exactly what had happened because nobody else would dare hurt him that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And she's the only one who can handle him.
It's temporary, but she'll definitely get over her violent streak eventually.
Not yet.
Not yet. So yeah, so she hides Lita when she finds her. She hides her just like Tom always hides Gorya, which is so precious. I wrote that, you know, obviously because there's a lot of paralleling going on between the relationships, but also female friendships are just so important. We kind of mentioned it before too, but the fact that they're having these quiet moments and these secret moments, that's really cool.
And they don't talk about Tom for the most part. They do talk momentarily in that she's like, "Oh, I'm engaged to him," or whatever, but it's mostly about, you know, they met, they have a friend attraction to each other. Certainly, I know a lot of people were hoping for more. It would be cool if they had done that. I don't think that they're going to, just given the time, etc. But the fact that they like spent time talking about like, "Hey, I hurt you, i.e. your dress, here you go," and like realizing that. I really loved how when they really got into the conversation, Lita's like, "And I'll just leave this here," kind of showing like how she recognizes instantaneously that Gorya is like, I can't take this. And so instantly does the Tom trick. And they even tie it back visually to what he did before.
Yeah.
But it helps Gorya realize, like, you know, this is just how they are. These like rich people. Like they
and
right?
she's also kind of like, you guys would be perfect together.
Yes, exactly. You guys are the same. You act the same. But I also think that like maybe it made her realize that she was kind of hard on Tom. Like maybe this is just how they are, but I don't think that comes out too much. And then we get this moment where she's like, I have to go to an event with that jerk.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And it's just, it's such an interesting, like, I don't know. Lita goes through the same stages that Gorya goes through.
Just like really fast.
Just very, very fast.
Yeah, definitely. Again, more perfect version.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Present perfect.
Yes. Ooh. That ties into also because the reason why she likes him so quickly is because he's better. He's a better person than compared to when Gorya met him. So
well, I have a note later on that says Lita is in love with the version of Tom that is in love with Gorya.
Yeah, because she wouldn't have liked him.
She wouldn't have liked him.
Yeah.
And Gorya is just Gorya.
Yes.
Right.
That all goes back to
this is the important thing, is like, you take that person into yourself, much like the cookies.
I like that. Yeah, I also one of the other things that Lita said in the scene was about the dress. Yeah. She said if you didn't place a direct order, you'd have to send someone to wait in a long line.
Yes.
So again, this is all the connective tissue that leads to Gorya.
The Hale scene later.
Yeah, exactly. It's
like that, realizing she's like out of their league and like
this is them. This is me.
Them.
Yeah. And like, yeah, we're different and there's a separation and it's so good.
Do you want to talk about this as a choice now?
Which part as a choice?
The fact that they are accentuating this massive divide. So not only to the comment we made about the class, like, you know,
like the newspaper homage, thing and all of that.
The homage to this show that they're watching. Yeah. Right? This show is about class difference. And they've spent an entire episode really, like, this is the most significant deviation that we've had from Hana Yori Dango.
Yeah.
2005. And it specifically targets, like, what is this overwhelming obstacle that we have to face? And again, it ties back to mythos. This is Eros and Psyche. She sees genuinely, because she's been brought into their world, she sees genuinely how different they are. Her eyes are no longer blinded.
Yeah. I think I have a lot to say about it. I think throughout the stuff that she learns, because like, I think what we get to at the end of this episode is what she's going to have to do, because she doesn't, obviously she doesn't. Good.
Because I think it's just, it's such a good choice. It is a choice none of the other versions and the source material have made.
No, this is so deviating from everything. That they did not bring all of the families together at a funeral in the manga. I don't think. Like, no, this is all new.
This is F4 Thailand's choice to take on the story in a particular way. And I mean, this is just, it's really important.
So, I agree. I have
lots of thoughts. I just want to say, like, we know it's part of this story, and that, like, we're acknowledging this is a very different take on the manga, the source material, and all of the other versions. But as we're calling it out, I think it's important to say, like, keep this in mind, so we're not like, you know, it is important that they're doing this class distinction.
Yeah, definitely. It is. I also wanted to point out that in the scene, Lita's still wearing her Nike shoes.
Yeah.
So again, this goes to the fact that she's like a goddess, like goddess of victory type of thing.
Yeah.
Also, it comes up later when she wears her heels, which the way they tie in stuff is so cool. So then we get so
wait. There was a moment.
There was a moment where she checks her phone.
She checks her phone as she's walking in.
Yes.
And okay. So things are framed as Gorya is being kept out, right? She has to, she can only see and experience their world through, the news after on her phone, not reading the newspaper. And they specifically call Tom Akira and Lita. They use his god name, i.e. meaning the sun.
Yes.
That is, it's significant and important. So
it's cool because it's like Gorya's like looking up at the sky, seeing what they're doing together.
Yeah.
And then she comes home and then it's like she looks down and he's on her floor in her home. Like how does it just blows my mind that like
and her little brother's wearing the love color that is sitting between them, like saying like this is at risk.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And it's so funny because it happens twice in this episode. Tom comes to her house to eat. And this ties back to like the cookies thing, right? What the cookies represent. And it's like he's coming home for nourishment.
Yep. So that she can feed him. Well,
yes,
that, like emotionally also, feed him. Yeah.
Yes. He is the one who is like in charge of getting the food apparently right now, but he's like, he needs that. He needs to be there with her and with her brother, and he needs to eat that kind of food. Like that is important for him right now because of everything that's going on in the sky realm and the celestial realm.
Did you get the eggs joke?
Oh, I thought maybe I don't. Okay. I think I know what it means.
Okay.
I think it had something to do with the fact that she kicked him in the balls.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Good. He had to eat extra eggs because he's been kicked in.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah, because like they like put it like that in the dialogue, but I couldn't quite get it. But yeah, that makes sense.
Like he is his shirt is open. He's not wearing any animal skin. He is unchained. He's not even wearing a tie. Right?
But what is he wearing on his wrist?
He's wearing a chain on his wrist because he's shackled to Lita. Yeah. They're both shackled to each other right now, which is really interesting. But he's not wearing the chain around his neck because he's now free, quote unquote, but he is shackled.
Right.
Somebody else. Yeah.
He takes off the chain, he takes off the leash basically to go to what he sees as his home now.
Yeah.
So he can have this moment, but he still has stuff that ties him to that other world. Oh, Lord.
And I love that he fully expresses exactly what's wrong over the meal, like because they have open communication when they're eating, but he's like, I'm sad. I went back and you weren't waiting for me, and I didn't get my birthday present, and you didn't care that I was getting married to somebody else. Fair, Tom. You know what? You're right.
He is right. He's right almost in this entire episode. It's frustrating. It's very frustrating for Gorya.
And she tries to give him a Band-Aid.
Yes.
As his birthday gift.
She's like, I threw away your gift already. Here's a Band-Aid. And it's because he said he scratched himself with scissors. So it explains the Band-Aid. Yeah. It's like, that's how stressed I was. So she gives him the Band-Aid. And again, this is funny because this is like their love language is like bandaging each other so far.
Yeah.
So she's like,
and
do.
feeding each other. That's been new too. Like since he's been hanging out in the neighborhood.
Yeah. Then
we get the cookies.
Yeah, because the brother gives it away that
Yeah.
she didn't throw them away, thank God. And something
Look
happens.
at the box. Look at the box.
Yeah, the box is like
box. It's got like leaves and little like dandelion type flowers. It's got little flowers. It is Gorya's like in a box form.
Yeah, it's like she's giving herself to him, and like he's like in there. It's so cool. Oh, we didn't talk about the fact that the drama reflected but that's fine. That's really obvious.
Yeah, that's obvious. Yeah. But the drama is and they're like, turn it off, but then they turn on
the news,
the business news.
So when he goes to get the cookies, the music in the background changes and it has like a clock ticking sound.
Of course it does.
Yeah. And then it stops whenever the news announces that the billionaire is not in good health.
I'm gonna butcher the name, but Pacorn
is probably what it is, maybe. Yeah.
So I googled it.
Oh, really?
What it means. Yeah.
What?
Sun.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
So it's the setting sun.
Yeah.
And Akira, Tom, is the rising sun.
Holy.
Right. So this is like the kingdom is power is changing.
Yeah. Definitely. And I love it. I love that like they didn't have to explain. They might explain in the next episode how this is all going to change and like how like it's setting up to that Tom is going to be. But it doesn't matter. They don't have to explain it because Tom is the divine child. He was raised by his mother for this exact purpose.
Basically to replace this guy as the king.
Yes.
Of the business world of and they call it out explicitly in the episode where they say that the business is what keeps the like land Thailand going. Yes. Business is the lifeblood of it, and you will never understand how much everything functions only because of this one guy. And they do show it, like they say, like stocks plummeted, people are losing their jobs, people are freaking out about the economy. Yeah. And there's reasons business wise that actually happens. Like I asked my husband who's in the financial sector, I'm like, what happens if Bill Gates dies?
Interesting.
Right? And he's like, well, instantly all the assets are frozen.
Yeah.
Right.
The freezing of the clock stops.
The freezing of the clock stops. There's all these iceberg metaphors. Everything is like waiting for things to figure out. Yeah. And this is why it's advantageous for Tom's mother and their companies to do things, because if his assets are frozen until the estate is figured out, then that company can't do anything, and other opportunistic beasts out there can take advantage.
Yeah, totally. Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah. So that's I love that. The clock stopping is great because this has been the whole show. Like it's been telling us that we're running out of time, and what happens when we're out of time. I need to make more time, and now the clock has stopped. We're out of time now. So that's when we get the
I have a question for you ever so briefly, because it starts in this moment.
Okay.
Right. What do you think of Tom not teaching Gorya the ways of the business force?
I think he wants to save her from that.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, like literally, like it's he's protecting her from it.
It's nasty, it's terrible, etc. You don't want to learn what I have to do.
Yeah.
But the only way she can truthfully join his world is by having a place in it.
Absolutely.
And she's having to figure it out on her own, which is also not good.
It's not good, but I think it's important for her.
No, I mean, this is his mistake, truthfully.
It is, because and that's why
he's trying because he's saying because he's saying you prefer it here. I don't want to pull you into, I want to exist in two worlds.
Right. He
right?
wants to visit
Rather
her.
than trying to build a world together.
I mean, it's literally, and this is a big point of, I think, the episode for me is, you know, we've talked about it being Eros and Psyche, but this is the big build up thing for the main part of Eros and Psyche. He visits her every night. She doesn't see his true face. And then she betrays him and looks at his true face. And then he has to leave.
I have these exact notes written down.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So this is, and I wish we had done, like, go back to the video on symbolism. Ty, you do a really amazing job explaining it. But this is the key thing, because in all of the other versions, Gorya doesn't betray him.
Yeah, this is so new.
This is important because she basically gives up, or she becomes too, she fully wants to understand it. But gods are horrifying, right? Like, gods and these like celestials that metaphorically these people are, they have to do things that we won't understand. They have powers we can't fully wrap our brains around. But truthfully, Gorya is always meant to be a goddess.
Yes.
Just like everybody else, but she has to learn, and she has to find her way through the trials that she's in. But part of this is she has to fully wound, you know, him. She has to wound Tom to realize how much that actually wounds herself. Because when you see somebody that you love hurt, and you would rather have hurt yourself than see them hurt, that's the point. and then there's regret, and this is where the atonement arc of everything is going to happen. And that's why the kidnapping plot is about her and him. Because
100%.
how they're playing it is, sorry, I'm going way off board, sorry.
No, it's okay.
But how they're playing it is that the mistakes that she's making with Talay and ignoring her true feelings and like playing along with him will be part of the suffering that she has to go through. And then she realizes when he shows up for her, and then she sacrifices for him too.
Right.
Important.
That's gonna be,
they're tying it all together, which I'm just like, my mind is blown that they're actually doing this successfully. And we can see it because we know the stories, and we know mythology, and we know symbolism.
100%. Oh God, it's gonna be so satisfying. All right, so
sorry,
Lord, it'll come up again. Like, we're gonna keep doing this because it's all throughout this episode. So then we get the scene, because the billionaire is in bad health. The F3 are talking about it. They have, again, newspaper, talking about how they're all reading the newspaper, and Ren, they're like, Ren, what did you find out? He passes the newspaper to them to show them what's in there, and then Gawain says, this looks fishy, like this smells fishy. And then Ren looks at the sky and he says, there are no stars tonight.
And he's wearing all green.
It's legit.
Okay, what do you think of his there are no stars tonight?
I think there's a lot of things, but one of my favorite interpretations of it is probably that all of the gods are hiding, and all of the stars are hiding because they're all getting ready to put their plans into action after this guy dies.
the king is dead. Long live the king.
Yes. So good. And it's also really
the
good.
The fact that his like, again, correct me if I'm wrong, it was just Google, but I mean, like sun.
That sounds like, if that's the case, that's amazing. Because also,
and the stars, like, they're all stars are suns.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
This is all
that's
just
what I was gonna say.
What is going on? This show again?
It's nuts.
Maybe the favorite thing I've ever covered.
100%. So cool.
And then we get the title, The Incident of the 1%.
can you believe like that was probably the longest we had to wait to get the title? We didn't even get the title before the intro. We just
so much
got it.
they had to understand to say like,
Yeah.
this is the incident, the death of the old king. Like,
Yeah.
that's what they're saying. That's what they're saying with this.
Yeah.
This is the death of the old king, and all the aristocracy and all these celestials, all these gods are like, wait 1 second.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so good. All right. So then we get the cookies and the cookies and the Ren and the Tom, and oh, it's so good. I love it so much. It's so brief, but it's adorable.
I know. But what do you think of his outfit?
So it's funny. He actually, I think he wore that shirt in a. No, I think it just looks like a shirt he wore previously.
He's worn that jacket on.
He's worn the jacket, yeah,
with the Ferris wheel before.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
He's rechained.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of a regression, but it's not bad. It's like he's kind of just. He's taking the last bit of time that he has to be childlike before he's got to go and deal with his responsibilities. So this is not monster Tom necessarily. Like it's not, he's not acting up. He's just kind of relishing in just a little bit of immaturity before he has to grow up, because he knows he has to. He knows that's right around the corner.
And then he shows Ren his Gorya made them and they're the shape of my face. Admire the magnificence. And then Ren immediately eats one.
Yeah. And I love this because they're meant to be eaten. Like you're supposed to eat. This is other versions as well. This also happens where the Ren character eats it and he's like, no. Because he was like saving them. He was like, I'm supposed to eat them. They're my cookies.
But he was never going to eat them because he was going to relish in this like vision that she has of him, and that she truly saw him as a human cookie.
Yeah,
that's important because they've laid the groundwork with showing the bear. Like
that's true.
That was purposeful. They didn't have to show us the bear. But they showed us the bear cookie, and then they showed us making a human Tom cookie. So she sees the human underneath the beast. She truly sees me. That's what he's saying. Yeah. She truly sees me. I am perceived.
Yes, I have been perceived. I love it. But then Ren eats it, and I think an important thing to me is like it is supposed to be eaten because that's the point of like the kind of the Eucharist symbology behind it, right? Is that you are supposed to eat what is given to you to be eaten. Like it's important. It's part of the cycle, of life, of the harvest and the ritual and all of that. So Ren's got the right idea, but he's also kind of playing with Tom at the moment.
Yeah,
which is adorable. So
did you notice his little line that he says where he's like, I know they're not perfect, but she's working on them. Like she's finally starting to see who I truly am.
Oh, that's cute. Oh, I love that.
So but Tom, you should have eaten your cookies.
Yeah, exactly. He needs to eat the cookies. Yeah. So that we also get a part in the scene where I think Ren and Tom do have a serious conversation about what's going on. Like, do you know about that? And he's like, yeah, I have a plan. I'm going to take care of things basically. So, and then
we don't know what his plan is.
No, we don't know what his plan is. And he doesn't tell Ren. Like this is, again, Tom is like growing up and but it's also, he knows the plan that's set forth by his mom, and he knows, like, he's probably the only one that really knows that, and that's probably kept close hold. So he's probably the only one that can really figure out how to counteract that plan in a kind of a clandestine way, right? Because, and that's why he doesn't really tell anyone. That's why he doesn't really tell Gorya. Like, yeah, I feel for him. But yeah, so then we go to the flower shop and the newspaper is being used to wrap flowers in.
Yeah.
which is great because it's that old like a saying type of thing, and it's in like songs and stuff where today's news is tomorrow's like fish wrapper.
Yeah.
You know, I forget how it goes, but
yeah,
it's that kind of imagery. And they're talking about how like, do people still read this? Why are they even still around? And Hanning says, yeah, but not our kind of people.
To your point, it's billionaires making news for billionaires.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, hello, like so cool. Then we have MJ running in and cooling himself off in the flower fridge, which was adorable. And then she's like, why are you such a mess? And we find out that they've been in charge of keeping Lita company all day, which this is in the other versions as well. They have to accompany her on her like shopping and stuff. But in this version, it's a little different because they don't go shopping necessarily. They go to like an amusement park. And
yeah, they have adventures, and like this goes back to like her namesake Lalita, she who plays, right? So she has boundless energy.
I love
she is the goddess of finding joy.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's so cute what they did with this too.
And the fact that they made it super quick by doing this like little semi animation of it, and her like basically having fun, like, oh, you boys, you're no competition for me.
Yeah.
in so cute. So many ways, Ren is her like equal and opposite, which is also amazing.
Yes. It'll be interesting to see them interact because they don't interact at all in this episode. I think that's important. Oh, so good. And I think
I have some speculation thoughts based on what we've seen at the end. So
we'll cool. See. Yeah. I think also the Part B account posted that this was filmed in front of a green screen. They said it was really like funny.
Yeah.
Because they had to like imagine all the scenarios. Yeah. Just really cute.
I love that they pulled out a legitimate map and then they have all these animations. It's just, I don't know. I love this show. It was the quickest way to show this shopping / adventure montage.
Yeah, it was efficient and adorable. And then of course the guys are exhausted, but then Lita comes running in and is like totally still has energy and she wants to keep going. And they're so done for the day, and she pulls out all of her credit cards and she's like, I can buy all the flowers here and I'm going to take you on a shopping trip.
Yeah.
But what we see later is that she didn't actually save anyone a day of work.
Yeah.
I think Cohen had to help Hanning with the flowers that she bought.
Yeah.
Which again shows us that it's that divide. It's like that misunderstanding, that miscommunication, just so out of touch with what labor is and where labor is. So
and how valuable labor is too.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Because she thinks she can just spend money on this, but when you spend money, that is going to typically have labor happen. It's going to cause people to have to work to do stuff. So she just doesn't understand that. And again, she's an immature form of herself, and she'll probably learn all of that through her friendship with Gorya. So
typically when we have the shop bought out, it's by the MJ and Gowan character.
Yep.
And they help sell out the shop.
Yep.
So like in Meteor Garden 2018, they're selling all the teas and they sell out of the tea, right? So it is interesting that Gowan sticks around to help.
Yeah, because in the 2005 version, same thing happens. They buy all the candy.
They ball all the candy out. Yeah. And they help sell it, right? Like,
and that
they help with the labor.
Yes. They always do. And it also sparks the relationship between MJ, or the MJ character, and like what was the candy shop owner in that particular version, which was hilarious. But in this version, Gawain is the one who sticks around to help Hanning, which again, this just gives us more time to like flesh out their relationship, which I love.
They're giving us more time with them before they actually do the confrontation of his shadow stuff.
Yeah,
Good. And his
it's
like
good.
baggage. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Then we get onto the shopping spree, which is, and this one and that
And
one
this one
and
this one.
this one.
Yeah.
And Gorya looks at it. It's a $400 purse.
Yes, I did the calculation as well. I was like, yep, that's an expensive bag for that tiny little thing. That probably Gorya couldn't even use because she probably carries a bunch of stuff around with her. Like she probably carries umbrella and a lot of other things like first aid kit probably with all the stuff she gets into, but nothing that she wants to take with her could fit in that little thing. So
did you want to talk about how Lita's dressed?
Oh yeah, we didn't really mention that. I did have a note that she is dressed in Gorya's colors, but she is posh.
Yes.
So she's like got those sharp lines and she's got the, what is it, like a Prada bag strapped around her. And so she kind of like looks kind of like a gardener. Again, this is all like the whole she's the perfect version of Gorya type of thing. Is that what you had too?
Yeah.
Yep. It's interesting. Somebody also made a point. I think Pavani said that these could also be like Ren's colors.
Yes.
I think that's definitely possible because it's also speaking to the Ren that is not fully developed, because we know like Ren wears a lot of blah colors until he hopefully he kind of will get into himself a little bit more, and his true color seems to be blue. So we're still, I mean, that's still kind of speculation, but this could be speaking to that as well. So
yeah. And I do like that she recognizes that she can't push things on Gorya, and Gorya pushes back and says like, no, I'm not going to accept this.
Yeah. She draws a line, and it comes from a bad place, I think.
It does.
But
because she's reminded of Tom again.
Yeah. And she's also, again, she's like, I can't keep taking things from you people, because that means I owe you something. And she doesn't like that. She doesn't want that. So I don't know. I wish she would have taken the bag. I would have taken the bag. But it's good. It sets a line in the sand, and it teaches Lita something really, really important. So
look at this zipper closet.
Yeah, I love it. What do you mean the zipper on your closet broke? Like, what does your closet look like? So then we transition. It's great because it gives us an excuse to get Lita to Gorya's home to see what it looks like and all that. And then we have these cute moments.
Oh, I'm dead. I'm dying because Tom is so adorable.
It's so cute. I was overcome with emotion. The fact that he's carrying her brother on his back.
Yep.
Like I have a younger brother, so I love the sibling like dynamics between them so much. And my husband has a really good relationship with my brother. They have since my brother was in middle school. So it's just so precious to me to see that, because it is really important when you have a younger sibling that your partner treats them like that, like better than you do, right?
Yeah.
It's really important, because you're going to fight with your sibling. Your partner better treat them with really like a lot of care. So
and you know, like in so many ways Tom and Gorya are playing like dad and mom to
that happens
him.
Totally.
And so like he's showing genuine like dad nurturing. And
he's like
I've thought a lot about male nurturing fantasy. Like he views like younger brother as somebody to be protected, to be cared for, to feed, to care for. Like this is all of the lessons that Gorya has taught him in practice, and he did it without being told. He recognized that he had like he hurt his ankle, and he was there for him.
Yeah. It's so precious. And he kind of dogs him a little bit too. He's like, they're kind of bickering when they come in, like, oh, you got yourself into this predicament. And then he
Yeah.
sees that Lita's there, and they start kind of bickering the same way that Gorya and Tom do. And again, this is further driving a wedge between Gorya and Tom, but Tom doesn't realize it. Lita doesn't realize, nobody realizes it.
Like if he didn't fight Lita, like, because fighting is their love language currently.
Yes.
If he didn't fight Lita, then maybe Gorya would have been like, oh.
Yeah.
Because she only sees Tom and her as like fighting as their chemistry. And they haven't replaced that chemistry as much as they've needed to.
True.
I do want to point out, so when Lita asks her, like, what's your relationship with Tom? And she's like, oh, we're friends. And then she's like, oh, well, what about that guy on the rooftop?
LA.
In all other versions, that's always Ren.
Oh, you're right.
It's always Ren in all other versions. So
yeah, what about the other guy? That's right.
They've specifically put Hele in a romantic pair with Gorya.
Again, it's kind of that combination of those other two characters that we've seen.
Yes, which Kinzen is always a romantic alternative to Tom. This is such a deliberate choice because it's actually going to be one of the trials that Gorya has to go through, and there are going to be consequences for everything that she has done.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Yeah. But then it's going to end so good.
So I do love that he calls her a monkey, which of course we've had since the monkey jump and bite, but now she's like, you're a donkey. Which is, of course, you're an ass.
Yes, I love that,
calling him a mean name.
Totally. And then we get Gawin is finishing helping up Honey at the flower shop, and he doesn't want to leave, and it's really cute because he kind of hesitates. And then he's like, actually, I'm really hungry if you have food. And she's like, yeah, let me check. So they get the opportunity to do a nice little product placement for the yogurt. They talk
about how small she is. And like, oh no, you eat that. And he calls her chipmunk again.
He takes a little yogurt off her nose, which is a very cute trope. I like that little trope. It's really adorable. Yes. And you can hear her heartbeat faster too in that moment. Like it gets louder. Yeah. So it's really cute. And then Gawin says something important. He says, haven't you noticed that Lita has a lot in common with Gorya? Yeah. And then he's like,
this confirmed exactly what we said last episode, right? And it's so nice to be confirmed by the actual text of the script. It's really nice. But the thing that it attracts, of course, Tom's mom, Rosalind, is that the power and the money and the strategy of that relationship having Tom and Lita together. But he recognizes that Lita's Tom's type, if Tom has a type, which he doesn't. He's a Gorya sexual, but if there was going to be a replacement for Gorya, it would be Lita.
It would be Lita. Yeah. And then he follows it up by saying that Tom's mom is really conniving. Even we do not know how to handle her. Like even us, the F4 don't know.
They've been talking in the background. Like we've seen a few of those like cutscenes, but we don't get like how they're planning, what they're looking into, what he's doing. Him as the court magician, the smartest, wittiest dude around, cannot figure out how to tackle.
And then what he does in the later. I love his role so much. It's so good. And he plays
Win plays it.
He plays it so well. But then they call Gorya because Honey's like, oh yeah, like I probably should call her, see what's up with her. And find out it's nothing to do with the whole nothing to do with the bigger stuff that's going on right now, but it is to do with the fact that she's got these two to deal with, which is really funny.
Something is going on. And they're all hitting each other with pillows, and they're staying up all night, and they're being children.
Yes, they're being children.
Which is okay.
Immature state Tom
Yeah.
and immature state Lita, like she's got to deal with this. And then Honey says something like, it's a lot to deal with, and then Gowan says, very, and then he reaches over and he eats from her yogurt cup.
Can we talk about this for a moment?
This is why I gift it, because it's like so good. Please tell me. Please talk to me about it.
This is a representational kiss.
Okay, that's what I thought too.
Yeah, because when you like somebody's got ice cream and they're licking it, and then the other person grabs the ice cream and then licks that ice cream, you're sharing saliva. Yeah. He is willing to kiss Honey. That is what this is saying.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yes.
This is so good. And I love her face too. She's like, you just ate from my yogurt cup and you didn't say anything.
You just ate my yogurt.
It's adorable. I feel like this is interesting because this is when Tom realizes like he can't stay in like this immature state anymore.
Yeah. And he like, so she sends off Lita separately. They all stay overnight. She like says, hey, give me a text when you've gotten home, which is like, hey, women out there, it's always great to make sure that you text your ladies when you get home safe.
Yes. Even when you're taking a taxi, especially when you're taking a taxi. But yeah, like it's a friend thing to do. It actually shows subtly like how much Gorya actually cares about Lita. Yeah. She doesn't push her away in the way that she's going to push away Tom, and the way that she does push away Tom, which is a lot. Like that's a big deal. So
can we talk about immature state Tom's outfit?
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about the blue flames.
Yeah, so there's 4 colors there's black and white, and it's split in half. And there's blue with green, and then purple and white and black.
Yeah.
Flames.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, the flames obviously represent the 4 most important people in his life, and that he's at a decision point because he's wearing black and white.
I like that.
And he's still covered with his animal skin because he's about to have to like replace it with a different kind of animal skin, i.e. a suit. Right. And he's having to do that more and more. And so he's trying to like get the last, this was what he wore on their date together. Like, it is an important outfit, and it comes back a fair amount. This particular jacket that's kind of frayed. It's like his animal skin is like cut up on the arms and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And what he specifically says is, I may be gone for a while. I have to do something. Wait for me. Be patient. Do we want to talk about the heroine's journey a little tiny
bit? Yes. This is an important point of the heroine's journey. Absolutely. Especially when it comes to love.
Yeah. And again, ties back to Eros and Psyche, which is wait for me. Don't go off and go doing other things.
Yeah.
I'll be back home and we will meet in the evenings.
Yes.
I have important work to do.
Yes.
Right. Women are always waiting.
Yes. Women are always waiting. And this goes back to like, this is like psychologically, it has to do with the father. A lot of in patriarchal cultures, the men typically do the work and the women stay home. And for little girls, especially, they're always waiting for their father to come home in the evenings to be there for them. It's the only time that they see them. So
same with like when women would be primary caregivers or house,
right?
Like doing the housework at home, etc. They would be waiting for their husbands to come home, and like that, it just doesn't work from a fully realized person and an anti-patriarchal relationship. And so him asking her to wait and be patient is actually sucking her energy, because she is meant to grow and help others grow.
Yes.
And this is like so important, that like this is part of his mistake. And that's why I called it out earlier when he was like, no, I don't want to bother you with my problems. I don't want to
Yeah.
burden you. I'm trying to protect you. You want to stay here. And he points it out. He's like, just before this, he's like, you prefer here, right?
Yeah.
Like you prefer this. So I don't want to hurt you and pull you into my world. But Gorya's mission in life is to cultivate others.
Yeah.
Is to help them grow.
Yeah, that's why she's so frustrated by this. She's like, I want to understand. I need to understand.
But
Don't you
you're
want
not
to understand? Like
helping me understand.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to learn it on my own. And again, this goes back to Cupid and Eros and Psyche, where she's like, I want to understand you. I bring the light to see who you truly are. And you're this god who I cannot fathom.
Yeah. And she injures him.
It hurts him in the process. She injures him. She betrays him. She betrays and injures him.
Yep.
And then realizes, because she pokes herself with his arrows, his love arrows, that she truly loved him all along.
Yes. Yes. It's yeah.
This is all leading up to that. This is like him putting a restriction on her that they can never truly be in the same world.
Yeah. And a lot of people are talking about like, oh, well, he messed up. He shouldn't be doing that, or she shouldn't be doing that. That doesn't matter. This is all telling a tale that is as old as time. It's psychologically.
Psychological archetypes telling us stuff about ourselves and how we overcome these differences between ourselves and find a transcendent meaning to take home with us.
Yeah, exactly. We can learn so much from this. The fact that he doesn't tell her, the fact that she betrays him, all of this is working through what is inside of us and what is going on and who we want to be. Like, so we get
the old king died.
Yeah, the
sun has set.
The sun has set, and now everything is going to be put into motion, and we see everyone at this point. I think we get a little montage of everyone in the story. We get a little snippet of Ren reading the paper. We get MJ seeing it on the billboard. We also get Gawin goes to Hunting and says we need flowers. We need for garlands for the funeral garlands. And we also get Lita in the taxi cab getting a call from her mom, probably, or her parents, telling her that this is all happening and all the plans are going into motion now. And then we get this really cool thing. Oh, okay. I love this scene so much. So we get the Paramanta. I don't know how to say their last name. We get Tom's home and everything is in a ruckus, and all these business people are there leafing through papers and, on the phone and all that kind of stuff. And they're like all working. And then the mom's secretary looks up and he's like, yeah, you don't have to worry about it. Mr. Tom has just arrived.
Yeah. And it's exactly like him being like, I'm going to be the king.
Yep.
Don't you worry.
I know what I have to do.
Yeah.
I know what I have to do, and I'm here to do it. It's really hot. It's just really hot. It's really good.
He looks very good in his suit.
He looks really good in his suit. I am so happy to see him in a suit for so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
we get that moment where he's like, do you have more flowers?
Yeah.
Gawin saying that to Hunting, and but then we get this like amazing setup to the funeral, basically explaining how the country is run truthfully, where power comes from.
Yes.
How these things all work together with these cuts to like Tom understanding like what these power plays are all about.
Yeah. And this is really, really, really well done in terms of like the cinematography and how they kind of transition from this whole buildup of what's going to happen, and then they get us to that funeral. Like, it's really good because they insert Gorya's narration, and she starts talking about watching the news. She's like getting ready for the funeral, and she's that she's going to be working at. And she's saying that, sometimes you watch a piece of news and you don't really understand it. It's like, it's like on the background, on in the background. It may not be important to you. It only matters to 1% of the population. And then that's when we get like Gawain like knocking on the windows, like asking the girls if they're ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go to the funeral. And I think Gorya says at that moment in the narration, but it does affect you. This is about how like it's really important for people to realize that what that tiny percent of the population does really does affect everyone without you even realizing it, right? She explicitly says this, without you even realizing it, this does affect you, but she doesn't know how, and most people don't know how. So that's where like it's this disconnect that she wants to meet, she wants to match it, but she doesn't know where to even begin. And then we get Gawain coming in, being the magician, being the trickster, being the manipulator, but ultimately being kind of this wise wizard character and telling her, like giving her riddles basically, of what she needs to do and what she needs to focus on.
Must learn how to look at the big picture.
You must
be able to understand it. So why the big picture? Well, it's because people get caught up too much in their normal lives. They don't see how these things are all kind of linked together, and how like it's a larger game board, right? It's a larger game of chess that everybody is playing against each other. And you are unfamiliar with it, but you've got to learn, because like Gawain is admitting that like she is the queen.
Yes. It's like he wants,
she's on the pedestal, like she's on the dais with Hanning, but she's not standing on the dais, right? He's sitting at her level. And when he leaves, he lowers himself basically and backs away. Like he realizes that she is the queen, but he knows that she needs some training.
He's kind of like, he's working for her now, essentially. Like, he's like, he's accepted. And we talked about this in the 2 episodes ago, like after they fought, after, Gorya entered the court in the way that she did with the light shining on her, like she became their queen for real, like their queen, not just Tom. And so now they are lifting her up and they're lowering themselves around her and all of that. And it's just so interesting because, again, like he believes in her, like he believes in her spunk and he believes in her compassion, all those traits that they know that she has,
just like as much as Ren has to this point. And he's actually showing that now. He's being the wise counsel she actually needed.
Exactly.
And it's so like because he was the most doubting in the beginning, right? And now he's like, no, Tom needs her. Like she needs to become smart with this because she has a lot to offer. We've seen her change us.
Yes. I also think it's really important for the idea of the knights serving their king, that like they know that Tom wants her. Therefore, like if things don't turn out well for their king, then they're not going to have a place. They're not going to have a secure place by his side, right? Like the kingdom is better off if the king gets his rightful queen. So this is all about just like, this is securing his place as much as it's, helping her, right? It's a little, it's just a tiny bit like selfish,
self-serving.
Well,
and also the world is a better place with Tom loving Gorya. He also recognizes that.
Things are better when these two have their stuff figured out. So it's good. Okay, so all right, and then we get the most epic scene. This scene is amazing. So epic.
I don't even have any thoughts except for like it's just great.
I also had the thought that I didn't mention in the scene before, but I talk about like change is coming, and we keep seeing like green and stuff like that. But the flowers for the funeral are white and green, and I know that white typically is like a funeral color in some Asian countries. I'm not entirely sure the significance of it here. I couldn't find very much when I looked it up, but the green flowers as well. This again, it's like opportunistic. It's all about wealth. It's all about what's coming around the corner. Like to me, that's kind of like what it symbolized. And they do call it out also that Gawain says, this, because she says something, should we be thinking a bit about business at a funeral? And he was like, absolutely, like this is definitely the place you should be thinking about business because of the type of people that are going to be here.
Just by the death of this guy, they're going to see the gross domestic product of Thailand shrink.
Yeah,
that's what they say at the funeral.
That's what they say.
Yeah, many agree that we will see Thailand's GDP estimates decrease.
I was literally just so focused on the F4 and their family, like their families.
No,
like
they're tying this transformation, right?
Yeah.
And there's like they are literally spelling it out to us that like everything that these rich people do affects everybody in the entire country because it is a kingdom, right?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, and they tie that into, okay, so then Gorya is also narrating in this scene, and she's like, you may be standing where you can see everything, which she is. Like, she is the queen, she is there, she is present, but she doesn't understand what's going on. She's like, you can see everything, but it doesn't help you to understand anything at all. And yeah, it makes you feel more like you're in a completely different world from them.
Yeah, they doubled down on the like star children celestial god difference.
They really did. It's incredible to me. Like, I was screaming during the scene. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, this is literally like, if you want to look at the F4 as demigods in a way, right? Like it's like they're showing up with their parents, and so you get like like the gods, or like the gods and like their kids, and they're all showing up in like one place, and they're all gathering to decide what's gonna happen and who's gonna take the spot of the ultimate, like, of the Zeus kind of character or whatever. But it's so cool. And like on top of that, like the like everything around them too, it even looks like columns, like pillars. Like, it looks very rich and Roman-esque in a way. It's such a good scene. But she sees Tom and Lita come in, and she says, I can't even imagine a single like word or sentence that they're saying. I don't know what they would even be saying to each other. And that was pretty.
She's not speaking the same language, right? We've had these miscommunications with like, I don't read this newspaper.
Yeah.
I can't speak the speak. I can't talk, like I can't walk the walk.
Yeah.
Right? I am not them.
Yeah, exactly.
It quadruples down on the feeling of otherness of these gods.
Yes. So this gets me to a really interesting point. So the power of the wealthy, the power that the wealthy have, the real wealthy, right? Is not just like,
it's not like the 1%, it's like the 0.001%. Like, it really is, because there's not that many people in that room.
no, it's a very, very tiny percent. But the power that they wield is the power to maintain separation from everyone else.
Yes.
Like, it's not just about their excess wealth, it's that they can keep an incredible distance in knowledge and skills, in health, like every aspect of their lives. There's a gap a huge gap that they can maintain between them and everyone else. And that's scary. Like that's what scares Gorya, and that's why there's such a disconnect, and that's why she doesn't understand, because as someone who is a nurturer and someone who is trying to cultivate and all of that, she can't even begin to understand where their power comes from.
Yeah. Because it doesn't come from hard work that equates to growth.
Right?
Right?
It's not like you don't have to cultivate, you don't have to till the garden, you don't have to do any digging.
You don't have to do any work to still be rich and still have this power. The power doesn't come from anywhere. You're basically born with it because you inherit.
Yes, that is the message here. That is what they're giving us to us here. It's
especially by showing F4 in relation to their parents walking down this like raised red platform.
Yes, exactly. This is all about being born into wealth. This is all goes back to like Gawain and MJ's conversation from like early in the show with Hunting, where they said, everything is planned for us. Like you cannot understand our lives because everything is planned. It's like planned before their birth type of stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's destiny. So, it's so good. And I also wanted to mention that like in other versions, we typically at this point, for the big separation that happens at the end of this episode, it's typically caused by the power that the mother has to get to affect Gorya's friends like livelihoods, like their parents and everything. But they don't even need to do that. They might do that later in the show, but they don't need to do that because Gorya is so scared just by the differences that she's seeing, just like what I was talking about. The power that is wielded is just the separation.
Yep.
So,
and they do a really good job of visually showing us this difference.
Yeah.
She's off to the side holding a tray and somebody gives her a drink.
Yeah.
Puts it on.
A glass.
And everybody else that she hangs out with on a regular basis is walking in their power struts and being the center of attention.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I love that in the next shot, like we still get Tom knows where Gorya is at like all the time. And he sees her walk away. Obviously he can't go after her, he can't be with her, he can't be in her world at the moment, but he sees that she's there. It kind of rips my heart out even more, to be honest. It's so sad.
It is. And they do a little bit of a trick because he starts to walk towards her, but then Ren appears when she's out, but he's pulled back to Lita because she's hurt.
Yes. Yeah, he sees the scratch on her heel and he's like, come on, because she's like limping too, like he knows that she's hurt. So, and it's really cute what they do.
They do a really amazing job of like cutting back and forth between the Ren Gorya conversation and the Lita Tom conversation, and Lita shows like how much wild woman power she has by showing off her shoes and saying, look, they're ripe.
Yeah, and I think she curses as well, and it's offensive to everyone, and it's really, and it makes Tom smile, which is adorable. And then the cutting back and forth between the Ren and Gorya conversation. It's really just to show us that, because they kind of do this thing where it makes it seem like Gorya is like not trusting Tom, like she's like losing her trust in him, but she's really not. And even though she says, no, I haven't talked to him, like there's no way, she's keeping that distance. She is a part of that. She's a part of the problem. But she still admits to Ren that she trusts that Tom is stubborn enough that he'll find a way out of this.
Yeah, but it's the most one-sided expectation on the relationship.
Yeah,
she doesn't have to participate in this, Tom is too overwhelmingly stubborn and will figure it out on his own. Oh, I'm sorry, sweetheart. No.
You guys need to lean on each other and figure it out together. It's just
yeah. And because of this, because you think that he's the only one who has to change. He's the only one who has to do work.
She said that
you're going to have to suffer.
Yeah. She said something in the narration where she basically said, I thought Tom wouldn't understand my world.
Yeah.
But it basically, like, it turns out that I don't even know where to start to like understand his. Like,
exactly.
He admits it. Like, he got to know me. They've had all this time together, and yet she doesn't want to be a part of his world. It's so sad. Like, she's gonna get there, but we're not there yet.
I know. Okay, so the maid plot is important for a couple of reasons. Sidebar, Ty.
Yeah, definitely sidebar.
Do you think that the maid plot is going to change?
Why? Why?
Like, so, like, maybe she learns about his world more, not to be a maid in it.
Oh, like that's where she learns to be a part of his world.
Yeah, I'm just wondering.
Maybe in more of like a secret way. Like, maybe she learns,
like, being around him, she learns all about what he does and stuff like that.
Oh, I like that.
I just feel like she's got to have some sort of education on being a god, and the only way she's going to get it is by living with him, which means the maid plot. But
yes,
I just feel like maybe there's going to be, like, because in the Meteor Garden 2018 version and in the other versions, it's the Miss Teen of Japan, right? She learns how to be a lady, quote unquote. But this is more than that. This is about socialization to this stratospheric levels.
Yeah, this is very different.
I don't know what they're going to do, but I think that there's the plot and how they're presenting everything is calling for it. So
in the 2005 version, she changes her focus in school. After he leaves, she changes her focus to Mira's. She decides to do international law or something like that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So she might change once he leaves. That might be a part of her will to kind of
become her own.
Yeah, like do law or do some kind of, because in the 2005 version, she has to like learn English and she's like studying really hard and he's interrupting her studying, and that's like a point of frustration for them. But this might be totally different. And so there's some room for that, I think.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting.
Just the conversation that happens with Lita and Tom is so good because again, I pointed this out earlier. Lita starts to fall in love with Tom because he's in love with Gorya. Like that's really, really important. But it's because Tom cannot unlearn the compassion and the growth that he has developed in wanting to love Gorya. Yeah. And like he gives her literally the symbol of love that Gorya gave him earlier, the Band-Aid. And
it's green.
And it's green and it has little stars and flowers on it. And this fits you, she says to him.
Yeah. Like,
and
sees
yeah, because literally like Gorya is a piece of him now.
Yeah.
Because like she's in love, she becomes in love with the aspects of Gorya that he has taken on, that he wants to mirror and show that he has learned. And so like him saying, you know, it's like the cookies, the Band-Aid's meant to heal. And like he's willing to heal somebody he doesn't even particularly like because Gorya has given that to him. Yeah. He's willing to help others, even if they're solely like he's just not interested. Yeah. He's grown so much. Like we have to recognize that.
Yeah, he's grown a lot.
And love is so grand. Love matters most. man.
Oh, I love that. So I love that so much that he says it's very grand to me.
Yeah.
It's very grand to me. And he says something else along the lines of like, it is the most important thing.
Love matters most.
Yeah, love matters most. Yeah.
And yeah, and like Lita falls in love with
in that
Tom.
moment. In that moment, she's like, oh, this guy is not who I thought he was.
Because Tom is so in love with Gorya.
Oh,
this hurts.
It hurts.
This genuinely hurts. I don't cry, but like I am hurting on the inside. So
oh yeah, I cried. I'll cry for both of us. I did cry for both of us.
You know, I am the Ren of our Tom and Ren relationship.
100%.
I am dead to the world. But I did feel it. It was God, Bright just kills us all.
Yes.
With how and look at this growth. Look at how much Gorya has helped him grow.
Yeah, it's incredible. And he's being so honest, and he's being like so true to somebody else, not just Gorya. It's so cool to see.
I mean, he's so in touch with his emotions to talk about bell hooks and the anti-patriarchal things, and he's willing to share the fact that like he loves himself enough to be true to others.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, wow,
it's awesome. So good to see. So then Ren says to Gorya, in that cut, I'm not worried about Tom's feelings. I'm worried about Lita's feelings, which is so funny because Ren, have you talked to Lita at all?
No. But he is the most observant of all of them.
Yes, he is.
I don't think that Ren would particularly like Hale.
Oh.
And he hasn't met him because Hale is like a shadow, right? He's in the background.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah. He's not going to make himself known to them.
No.
But yeah, if Ren would be like, let me string him up by his toes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. All right. So then we get, I think this is incredibly important. The research. She's trying to solve the riddles that Gawain gave her.
Yep.
And she's like trying to know. Like she really is trying to know. And she's interrupted, of course, by Lita.
Quick moment. I did. Yeah. Okay, so she won all this stuff. She was like she didn't have money on her or whatever. But she won stuff.
Oh, well, actually, I have a note about that because I know why she has it.
Okay.
So in Thailand, there's these things called funeral casinos. Yeah. I had to figure it out because I was like, why were they gambling? Like clearly they were gambling.
Yeah.
But apparently in I don't know if it's just Thailand, but I found a bunch of stuff about it that was in Thailand, and they use gambling as a way to be an attraction for people to keep the deceased spirit company.
Oh.
So they'll just gamble at the funerals, and it's kind of like an excuse because they're like, oh yeah, all the people stay around late to keep the spirit company. Yeah.
I had a different note.
I know, but I wanted to let you know that that's why.
So cool.
It means that she went and gambled with people. As somebody who's totally rich, she doesn't need that money. Like, it's so silly, but she was like hiding cards. Anyways, go on.
Okay, so not only does like luck just follow rich people,
goddess of victory.
Right? Goddess of victory, like luck just follows the rich, right? So I have a good friend who is very well off, and he'll just randomly find like money on the street. He'll go to Vegas and he will win like $10,000. Like he doesn't need it, and he will money will just come to him.
Right.
Yeah. But I also want to point out that there is no fair play for the rich.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Right. So this is also super important, that like there's like no matter how much you're like, oh, I worked hard for this, there's always an asterisk
Yes.
on how rich you are because you had that money given to you by your parents, or you had somebody who mentored you to get to where you are, or you did it on the backs of not paying your workers enough money.
Yeah, exactly. There's always an unfair advantage.
And she just shows it. Like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, I had cards. Yeah.
Yeah. I hid them.
I cheated.
Yeah. Oh, so funny. And our friend Missy at Fangirling Only on Twitter had the note, like, she was like, oh my God, she's got the King of Hearts.
Isn't
that awesome?
Of course she does.
Because she stole it, by the way. She
stole the King of Hearts. Yep.
Isn't that amazing?
And we get this really in-depth, like deep dive conversation between the two of them where they're sharing things, and it all kind of turns out like she's asking about love matters,
Oh yeah.
But it's with a reason. It's with a reason. She wants to help her dad.
Yes. Well, and Lita's a complex character. She usually is, but in this one it's for different reasons. But she does say she doesn't really understand. Like Gorya says, oh, there's a bunch of words that I don't understand, like this, and this. There's too much. It doesn't make any sense to me. Basically asking her, how do you do this? How do you live in this world? And Lita was like, I don't understand any of that stuff either. And this should be hinting to Gorya that, like, this could be how it should be telling Gorya, like, learning this stuff is important, but instead it's doing the opposite. It's telling her that you should just, like, it's just unfair, and then people are just born into it, and that's just how it is. But she should be learning through this that if she were to learn these things, which again, this could be the spark of her deciding to maybe go into economics.
Yep.
That would be really interesting, but and because that's what this should do for her, because she is curious and she does want to do good in the world. So but yeah, Lita says she doesn't know about any of this stuff either. And then they get into the topic of love. And Gorya says the exact same to her that Tom said, which is that love is the most important thing. And I love the line that she says, it's our whole life. It's just precious. It's very precious.
I kind of feel like in some ways she's trying to dissuade.
Yes,
Lita.
She is.
Like she's like this is your whole life. I would never want to be forced into marrying somebody.
Yeah.
But Lita takes that in like the opposite way, which is like, well, maybe I can convince Tom to love me.
Yes. We have time. Like it's like we have time to fall in love. And she's like, maybe I already do love him. And then we see the bandage. Yeah.
Which again, symbolically is the Gorya in Tom.
Yes. Yeah. And Gorya sees it as kind of like a
betrayal.
Yeah. I gave that to you, not for her.
This was me giving this to protect you and help you heal. And you gave it away. But yeah, I mean, he would be a bad king if he didn't share the gifts that he had learned.
Exactly. Yeah. Then again, this is a consequence of them not talking. So
yeah, and like she needs to recognize that he has to be a good king,
a benevolent
king. Yes, he has to be a righteous king, and being a righteous king means you care for those around you. And you give to others. You multiply the gifts that you have given him. Exactly.
Once she hasn't discovered her power yet.
Yeah.
But once she discovers her power, she will understand that everything that she does is going to go to others. Like everything has a ripple effect. Like her compassion will have a ripple effect.
And if she thought about it, the canceling of the red card for everyone was all her influence. Like she just has to recognize that loving Tom as he grows helps everybody.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I got chills. Okay. So
Hale.
yep. Hale. Gorya goes home, gets a call from Hale before she goes to sleep. And this is so funny because she ends up staying up the whole night, I guess, with him in the line. But Hale does tell her that she can help him and to stay in the line just in case he has to get out of it. And
did you notice that his little icon on her phone is the red and blue?
I did. Yes. It's like those default icons typically, but it's red and blue, just like his jacket.
It's because he's like this false version of the combo of Ren and Tom.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're specifically doing it by combining Kinzen and Junpei, which is crazy.
Yeah, again, because those are supposed to be foils, for the two.
Why you gotta be so smart, show?
It is so smart. It is. And we know that in the next episode, Gorya gets one of those jackets as well. She starts working with him more. So there's more of him coming. But he does say, kind of like a we live like this. Like, look at this. Like, we live like this. They live like that. Like, this is how the world works. Like, don't try to understand it. There's no reason to understand it because at the end of the day, this is where we all end up.
He is preventing her from growing.
Yeah. He's evil.
He is
the bad guy.
He is a bad guy. I haven't figured out exactly the mythological comparison yet, but he is a significant obstacle for her. And they're doing a good. Do you not like him at all?
I despise him so much. Ever since he said what he said in that last episode, where he was like, it was that weak diss where he was
it's just F4 kids.
Yeah, no, they're not gonna understand. And he drives off. I'm like, you are just a piece of garbage. He really gets under my skin. And the fact that he is pulling her down.
Yeah. He pulls her. She's sitting on the ground. She's gotten so low.
Yeah. She's
right.
She's in a it's a camping out thing. She's eating junk food. No offense to the product placement, but it's not good.
Yeah. Dude's not good for her. He's toxic.
Yes. Very toxic. Very toxic.
In the guise of I'm trying to help you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to help you realize who you truly are. Well, actually what you're saying is that you're not valuable. You're not.
Exactly. You're not worthy.
It's like
don't
a
even
weird
try.
Diss. It's like a weird negging.
And it makes her sad and it makes her even more tired. And she stays up all night with him. This is important because the next scene, it's the morning and she hasn't gotten any sleep from the funeral and from everything that happened. And she went from saying that Tom has everything under control to now being like, I need to get him out of my life.
Yeah, literally Hale sucked the energy out of her.
Yes. Did not allow her to sleep. Yeah. And you know, they always say don't go to bed angry kind of thing, right? Literally, hello.
Yeah. Yeah.
So okay, so here we go.
And then Tom is just waiting there for her because he knows that her brother going away is important. And so he was like, I thought I wouldn't make it. I love him. But he's wearing his tie.
Yes.
Wearing his tie and he doesn't take it off.
Yes, because he's gonna be dragged back by his leash.
His hair is so sexy though. Can we just take a moment to
appreciate it? Let's do that.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. He's hot. It's awesome.
His hair has changed a lot since the beginning, and we didn't think we would see a lot of hair changes.
No.
But his hair kind of reflecting this more adult adultness to him.
It's always foreheads. Foreheads make
Yeah.
guys look so much more mature.
Yeah.
Like you put the hair down and it's like, oh, they look like a little kid. It makes their face look babyish.
Yeah.
But then as soon as you push that back, it's like, whoa. And I
Yeah.
love that because I think Bright's natural like hairstyle that he does, you know, it's like that. It kind of it's pushed to the side, it exposes his forehead, but it's also straight. But they kept the curly.
Yeah, the
They kept
like
the
crunchy wavy hair.
yeah.
Yeah.
They kept that and just pushed it back, and it looks so good.
I hate / love this scene. It hurts.
It's hard to watch.
It's so hard. And
yeah.
so we get this, like, she already betrays him before she decides to hurt him emotionally. So she is
because he says that the goons are basically after him, like those mom's people are after him.
He gives away his
Mhm.
like fatal weakness, and she uses it.
She uses it because he's like, Goya is gonna protect me. It's fine.
Yeah.
Goya will protect me. That's the ultimate betrayal.
Again, the equivalent of this in Eros and Psyche is, you know, I trust Psyche to not turn on the lights.
Yeah. And look at me.
And
then
look
she
at
does.
me.
Yeah.
And then she does, and she burns him with the candle, with the lamp or whatever. And oh my God, he trusts her so much.
Yeah.
And she just like pops open the phone and texts somebody and is like, I have him here. He's bothering me or something.
Yeah. He's at my house, or
he's at my
here.
house. Please come and get him.
Yeah.
And then
as soon as I saw her pick up the phone, I was
I
like,
know, I same.
No!
But like this never happens in any of the versions. This is Gorya specifically making a choice. And again, this version gives the female lead the most agency. Like she'll tell him like, I'm, you know, she'll say the same words, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're better with Lita, you know, and then he leaves all rejected and dejected, right? And so she still says the same words, but this is specifically like, I'm removing you from this situation.
Yes.
I am, you know, I actually do have a power. She has power because she can control him by taking him away.
Yes. Oh my God. So this is so cold. Like this whole thing is so cold. But the way that she's talking to him, he knows instantly like something's wrong. Like what's with the sarcasm? Like, why are you being so snarky kind of thing? And she's like, I'm not like, and she's cutting this off.
Lita look great together.
And that is cute.
Yeah. And she's cute. Yeah. She's got everything you want. I don't see myself with you.
Yeah. And I love that. So this is, you know, if you have a significant other, there are arguments that you might have where you act mean to the other person, or you say things that you don't mean because you're trying to push them away. You're trying to push away your own feelings about something. And the sexiest thing that your partner can do at that moment, no matter which, you know, which one of, you know, guy or girl, whatever, the sexiest thing they can do is drop everything and say, we need to talk.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it so much. I think it's awesome. And he does, he drops everything and he walks around, and the whole time her brother is looking like, oh no, mom and dad are gonna fight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, what is going on? This is serious. And he drags her out and he's like, no, we're gonna do this now. And she doesn't resist because this is like, she kind of knew this was coming, I guess.
Well, she caused this too, right?
This is what
she's trying to push him away. She's trying to express where she's at, but it's also like she is kind of trying to hurt him.
Yeah, she is.
Right.
It's like what's the story with the dog and the person, the dog, like oh my God, what is it? I forget. But she's White Fang, the White Fang.
Yeah. Run. Run
Yeah.
off to the forest.
Go back
away.
where you belong.
Go back where you came from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's that. It's the
And I
your
mean,
white
we hear
thinging.
it, right?
Yeah.
I'm exhausted and I want to stay in my world. Stop trying to drag me into this other world that I'm not wanting to be on. And
Mm,
you know, and there's like a lot in this fight. Like, you know,
there's a
he
lot.
brings up like like
everything is like hashed out here.
everything. Yeah. Like, you know, do you realize how much I've done for you?
Mhm.
You know, I just asked you to be patient. And again, back to the waiting thing, but
Wait
like
a little longer.
women
Yeah.
can only like find themselves, or femme heroine journey stories can only find themselves by actively pursuing it. They cannot
Yeah.
just sit in stagnation. This is interesting because from a hero's journey perspective, the view of the feminine
Mhm.
is that suddenly she has become a goddess.
Yeah.
Right? This is, we'll have to go into this at some future point, but
Mhm.
in the hero's journey, when he views the feminine that he has been like trying to find a union with, an alchemical union with,
Mhm.
it looks like magically overnight she turned into a goddess because he didn't see all the work that she was going through. And for
Yeah.
her, she needs to actively choose to find that power through the trials that she goes through.
Yes.
It's a more quiet journey, but he doesn't understand where she's at. And he literally is just like, once I go and defeat my dragon mother, you'll be there waiting and we'll rule the kingdom together. Don't you see?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she's like, no, I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah. She, and we talked about this before, like he has to unlearn, he's already unlearned a lot. He's already
Yes.
done the work of unlearning. Now he has to learn. And so he's at the midpoint of his hero's journey, whereas
It's episode 9. What is going on?
Yeah. Whereas, exactly. Whereas she is, she's at the point, because the heroine's journey is more complicated and she experiences much more turmoil to get to the point where he's at. So she has so much that she has to still go on. So much she still has to do. And yeah, we should talk about it probably. We should probably break down the heroine's journey probably next episode.
It's important because like where she's at and the things she's saying is exactly out of it.
Yeah.
But it's earlier on in her journey because she hasn't made as much changes as he has.
Yeah, exactly.
That's important. They're not really on the same sync because he's got to go and be kind of taken away from her for a while so that she can grow. And we hear an amazing play of One Last Cry.
Oh my God.
In the background.
Ooh.
And what's super fascinating is because like he tries to hold her at one point and she's stripped of the browns and greens she's wearing to reveal this white. Did you see that?
Killed me. Yeah, it killed me. Just absolutely.
And it's like he's
me.
like trying to show her how worthy she is and revealing her true self. She is a star bride. She is worthy, but she won't listen. I also want to point out like there's iceberg metaphors this whole time.
Yeah.
Like the whole episode is all about icebergs and like these things that you cannot see or cannot truly fathom because you can only see the top 1% of the iceberg.
Yes.
Right. That's the point. You cannot truly understand how big the iceberg is, and the entire ocean is filled with them for Gorya.
Yeah. And she says at one point that sometimes it's just better not to have seen the tip.
Yep.
At all. Because for her, she was curious, and for her, she did try, and she thinks, I think, you know, some part of her does think that she failed, but like, she thinks that failure was just supposed to happen. Like, that's just how things are. You know, if you see the tip and you get curious and you try, you're going to fail if you are like how I am, because that's just how things are. Like that. It's so upsetting, but we also, and I just want to call out like the fact that 2 made me cry all day freaking long. Like I was bawling my eyes out all day about this dang episode. And I'm surprised I didn't cry now just looking at the GIFs because and there's a reason. There's one GIF I had, but I didn't include it because of that, because it probably would make me cry. But
Tu sold this whole episode in her journey and in the pain she's feeling, and like I'm still in wonder of the OST being so good.
yeah,
You know, and then pulling these songs out as they're at specific parts of her journey, which also makes me like, people are wondering like what Bright's song gonna be. I think it's gonna be called Nighttime.
yeah, I've seen that.
I suspect it'll come out when he gives her the necklace.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. So then we get the train station scene, and
Oh,
brother's like, he's like, I just wish he was here, because if he was, he would be so excited about everything.
yeah, because he sees everything with new eyes and he brings joy to their lives.
That just broke my heart. Like if it wasn't if I was already crying my eyes out, but then like to have this on top of that, like it really just extended. Here come the tears. Like it just really extended the heartbreak, like to see him cry like that, like, and then to see her react the way that she did.
And yeah, she actually realized she loves him.
Yeah. All right.
Sorry.
I cry so easily. So anyways,
yeah, and then we see him show up.
The
world keeps on spinning
the way it's supposed to. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah,
now this is important, because this is where we can talk about what needs to happen, because I mean we kind of peppered that through, but the whole point of like the journey of the hero, in however way you want to look at it, heroine's journey, wild woman, hero's journey, alchemical
union
for it, it's like alchemical union, but like it's like just the individual processing of like individuation type of thing. All of these begin with the individual going in the opposite direction of what they're supposed to. This is like very similar to like forging your own path, right? Like finding your own way. If the path before you is clear, you are not on your own path. You need to.
That's a Campbell thing, because you cannot follow somebody else's path and finally grow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if the wheel is spinning, if the world at the wheel, however you want to look at it, if it's spinning one way, you need to go the opposite way in order to find your true self. So if your world is pushing yourself and pushing you in one direction, and you have suddenly one day you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. You need to go in the opposite direction in order to figure out what you want, what you need. That's the adventure. That's the hero's journey. So the fact that Gorya says this in her narration literally means that she's in order to become who she really needs to be, she cannot look at the world this way. She has to go in the opposite, and she has to yearn to dismantle the systems that are creating monsters. She has to want to be a part of dismantling the current system with compassion and deference and, you know, cultivating and all of the things that she has, all of the gifts and all of the skills that she has.
I just had an idea.
Oh,
she's gonna become a politician.
I could see that,
because Lita said, my dad wants to become a politician,
and they kind of painted it as like this good thing,
so that he can actually attempt to fix things.
They painted it as something
they said
good.
that out loud, and they don't say things out loud unless they're like, this is an important thing to say.
I mean, because I know the story typically ends when she's like going into college.
Yeah, but they've peppered governmental criticism through the show too. And like showing how connected, like certainly with Tom backing her, she could become like a very powerful person and a force for change in the country.
Yeah, 100%. I like that. She could change her study to anything and become a politician, like anything that would help her in that world, like economics, politics,
political science.
Yeah, like there's so many things.
Yeah,
I love
like
it.
just understanding the laws of the land would feel like such an interesting choice.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I just why say that about her dad, because that's never been a thing in any of the other versions. Yeah,
I 100%
he's
agree.
wearing black and white. Just
Yeah,
say that. He looks like a drowned puppy, and I love him. And he looks hurt. He looks broken.
And it also mirrors, the date, like when he was talking about, if I wait for someone, that means I care about them. And she shows up at the date, with the umbrella and all of that. So it mirrors that. It goes back to when Lita was talking about how her family was trying to get her to get to know him. They gave her a video of him, and it was the same video that Gorya had seen. About him, like, if I care about someone enough, then maybe they can change me or whatever. So they're tying all this in together to make us heartbroken.
Oh boy.
So, but luckily, after all of this heartbreak, they gave us something to be happy about.
Yes.
A KFC commercial.
A KFC commercial featuring basketball and a long last love of MJ's.
Yeah. It's really good. So they called it The Secret Story of Iris, which I was just like, oh yeah, that's his flower. And then MC was like,
no, that's the name of the girl.
Yeah. And now my heart is absolutely broken.
I think we're going to get these peppered out through the next couple of episodes.
Yeah. They better give us like what's going on.
Handsome and mysterious. That's right.
Yes.
He looks so good.
He does look really good. That's why I gift the whole scene, because I was like, he looks so good and I love him so much.
I just disappointed that she's not actually playing basketball so we can see her skills.
Again, I gave up on that.
You're like, I'm giving up on the basketball.
Yeah, 2 episodes ago, I was like, I'm not going to hope for this anymore. And also, again, she might change her like major, like her study in school, her focus. So it might not matter at all to the story. And again, we've passed all the points in which it would matter. So I don't think it's going to happen, but I hoped.
They gave him a romance. I cannot believe this. We should probably go and read his one-off manga just to see if there's anything in there that they're pulling from, or if this just is purely a KFC commercial.
I have a feeling it is just a commercial. Like from what I've seen of the manga, I don't think it has like any romance. So, but I'm always down to get to know the character more, so I'll probably read it regardless. But
who wrote this story, The Secret Story of Iris?
They had to be like clever to make this like really fit into like the show. It's very, very clever.
It is. All right, do you want to briefly talk about speculation for next episode?
Yeah, sure, why not?
I think we're gonna definitely get the prom, right? We're gonna get her hanging out with Chocolate. We're gonna get the kiss, I believe, at the prom.
Yeah, I like that speculation because I do want it to happen as soon as possible.
So in the manga, Lita kisses Tom, right? Like, or the characters.
Does that happen in 2018?
It happens in all the versions.
I don't remember that.
It happens in every version.
I don't know why I don't remember that.
Because you're trying to block it out. And it is witnessed by the female lead. So Gorya
I remember it.
And the Ren character tries to stop her from seeing it. She sees it anyways.
Yes. I don't think
so
that's gonna happen.
I think it's gonna happen. I
Really?
think it's important. Yeah, I think it's important.
The kiss?
Yeah, I think it's
But
important.
but Ren and Gorya didn't kiss.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna sidestep it.
You think so?
Yeah.
Just to add more kiss to Tom and Gorya eventually truthfully kissing.
Yeah.
Guys, we need this. I also think that we're gonna get at the end of the episode the return of the red card.
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah.
She's
Yeah.
standing in front of her locker. In the
Yeah,
same
I
way she did
loved
before.
the line there is so good. It's like everyone is moving on, like everyone's lives are changing because
Oh yeah, and we're getting all the
F4
graduation
graduating.
stuff too.
Yeah. But then it says except for me,
Yeah.
except my life. Because, and again, this is Goya's fault. She's the one who decided that she didn't want to be a part of this world anymore. She pushed him away, and therefore she's not going to be a part of the F4, or she's not going to be like in their orbit, right? So she decided that, and she at the very end of that preview opens her locker and it's like except for me, which does insinuate that the red card is served to her again, and that goes to like in 2005 Hana Yori Dango. It's when he's not there and she gets it. So
the fake red card.
Yep, it's the fake red card. So there's a lot.
Kicks off the kidnapping plot.
Yes. Oof.
Maybe next episode or the episode after. I think it has to be next because
there's too many other things that they still have to do.
I know.
They can't carry on this one for too much longer.
Well, the fiance plot typically lasts 3 episodes, no matter the version.
Yeah. But I just want them to kiss. Gosh, just give me a kiss. I need it to happen.
Oh, you mean Tom and Gorya? Yeah.
Yeah, I just really need it to
happen. I don't know when that's gonna happen, friend.
Thanks.
I'm literally trying to remember because like normally they kiss at the cookie time.
Well, in 2005 Hana Yori Dango they kiss in episode 9, but that's because that was the end of the first season, and that was like where they had kind of made up that plot about it was like the airport thing and all of that. So it was done in a rush, and
emotionally they could kiss at the climax of the kidnapping plot and it would work based on where the characters are at.
So my speculation on that was like they will kiss at the hospital after, or like after, like when they're recovering.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, because I don't think they can kiss like the logistics of that are just sound a little off to me. But sometime after the kidnapping plot,
I think they could do it.
I mean, I thought they were gonna kiss in the alley in front of her house before he got pulled away. I'm like, angsty kiss. Here we go. They're fighting. They could. Okay, no, they don't do it.
He never forces himself on her, unlike every other version. So I think like it's gonna be her. And where I was thinking like was like he's like bleeding and she's hurt, and then they like hold each other and they kiss and then they pass out. That's what I was thinking kidnapping plot wise.
Yeah, I don't see that.
All right.
The logistics of that don't hold up for me.
Look, in the musical they sing an entire song after. So
that's
anything
great.
is possible.
Yeah, you got a point. I don't know this show. I'm really bad at speculating because they just know what they're doing, and I cannot foresee what they're trying to do ever. But it all makes sense in retrospect, and I adore every choice that they make. Honestly, it's delicious.
It works.
Yeah, it works.
It works so well, and it has deep psychological layers, which we're digging into with the use of mythology and symbolism and kind of showing how things mean more than they do on the surface and how every choice is purposeful.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's so yummy.
And it's unfair that we have to wait another week for another episode, but
yeah,
we get to enjoy this whole time along. I'm probably going to do a meme about, Gorya being upset that he gave away her Band-Aid.
that's cute.
She
I love it.
is.
Yeah,
She
she
didn't
is.
say it, but she is.
Like, it's such a silly thing for her to be upset over, but we also know that it like represents and symbolizes so much more. But at the same time, it's like, it's just a Band-Aid. Like, get over yourself.
Yeah.
I'm exaggerating. I love these characters so much. They're all great. They
Yeah,
could
they're
do nothing
amazing.
wrong. They could do nothing wrong. But any other
Tom has
final...
grown so much. I'm so proud of him.
Me too. Yeah, he has. He's becoming a mature lover. He's becoming a mature man, and he's gonna regress again. I think he's not gonna. He's not like how, not into a violence or anything like that, but he is going to make bad decisions going forward.
I don't know. It depends on. There's not that much time left.
I know. But there are elements in like Hana Yori Dango 2005 where he tries to push her away in different ways. In every version, he tries to push her away.
I don't know how much they're going to follow the second season of Hana Yori Dango.
But it happens in like other versions as well, like Meteor Garden. There's a lot of stuff.
So the necklace scene,
right?
Are we speculating here? Because she leaves. She comes back. She leaves. She goes to her parents' orchard. That's what's going to happen. Right. She comes back. She tries to give him the necklace back because they've broken up again.
Right.
And he chucks the necklace.
Yes.
It gets lost down the drain. We've already seen that in the trailer.
Yes.
And then they get back together.
So you think there's like too much drama for him to try to push her away?
No, he's gonna chuck the necklace. That's important.
Yeah, like that's that's part of it.
Lost.
Yeah,
lost and come back.
Yeah,
it doesn't always come back. In not all the versions does it come back. So
no, yeah, I think that they are gonna do some kind of Singapore thing.
Yeah, they're gonna do Singapore. They have to. They wouldn't keep on bringing Rosalind there.
Yeah,
but it has to be when they're actually together again, which is
later.
So
yeah,
I still think that they're going to do a couple of things. I still think that they're going to do Rosalind threatening her friends, and not just her friends, but also like the shop owner. I don't know how many people can actually be hurt. It's just really her friend Hunting.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, that's the only one in this version.
The only person that can kind of be hurt in this version that's left. So I still think, because we need a reason for Gorya to actually leave, and then Gorya will come back. There will be I think the maid plot will happen beforehand. Maybe.
Yeah, I could see that.
Right. So it's like, I've lived in your house and you didn't know. The maid plot will happen after the kidnapping plot because she's not going to have a safe place to be.
Yes.
So that's really important. So it's like kidnapping, maid plot. She leaves. Separation is really important for her to leave. She comes back. We get the necklace throw, but they agree to be together, but secretly. That's found out. We'll get the Hunting and Gowan subplot at the same time as them dating, but secretly. And then he will be taken away and brought to Singapore. She has to follow him. And then we'll get the amnesia plot, because apparently that's happening.
Yeah, apparently that's happening because a Thai speaker was like, I can read those lips and that says this, and
I don't recognize who you are. Yeah. But I don't think it's going to be longer than like one episode.
No. And like the Hana Yori Dango 2005 is pretty good. It's like easy to stomach in how they do it. Like there's other versions like that are not so good.
Like we really like the the meteor garden drama of him like refusing to eat and her like telling him he's being an idiot and to eat. Like I love that angst, and like the wall, like them like talking through the door is very dramatic, but I think that they can get the equivalent of that in her healing him when he's got amnesia.
It almost feels like it fits their characters a little bit better.
It does.
Especially if he's
they
like,
could do it well.
They could do it so well if he's like, I don't know who you are suddenly, and then she nurtures him like through the goddess powers that she has. Like, I mean, it'll make sense and it'll be really cool, I think.
They haven't misstepped with anything so far.
They haven't. So. I have no reason.
Like they saved the Hana plot for me. That's a hard one.
Exactly.
Like
same
amnesia. Like they saved the amnesia plot. I'll be like, well, who knew?
Yeah, who knew this plot actually works still? Like what? It'll be awesome. I'm really, really excited. I'm glad we got to do some speculation. This is fun. Any other final thoughts?
No. I know how long we've talked.
Yeah. You guys told me not to cut a lot, so this episode's gonna be really long, and you're just gonna have to deal with it. Okay.
People take breaks.
Yeah, people do. They listen to it in parts. Anyways. All right. Well, that was episode 9, and I am so excited for next week.
Yeah.
Also, like, talk to you guys in the comments, talk on Twitter, follow us on Twitter. Our ats are in the description.
Yep.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Cheers.